Hey now, we are getting over, and I am the Silver King, Adam Silverstein, here to lead you through these hard times. With the latest WWE edition of your favorite professional wrestling podcast. That's right, Getting Over is back once again, and we are kicking off 2026 with our first WWE episode of the year, both SmackDown and Raw, putting on special shows that could not have been any more different if they tried. The Silver King and Vintage Chris Vanini both here to break it all down for you before this show is out. As we begin this episode and as we begin the year, allow the Silver King to remind you once again that the Getting Over Wrestling podcast
is all about Defiance.
So please, folks,
stop being marks for yourselves and go back to being a mark for me.
Go back to being marks for the Silver King and for Vintage. Hell, the whole podcast here in 2026. Head over to Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Leave a 5-star rating on Apple. Take a little extra time. Leave a 5-star written review. If you do, we will read it live right here on the show. And don't forget to follow us on social media at Getting Overcast. On Twitter and Blue Sky, you get episode drops, news, analysis, highlights. You can send in questions and comments for the show. On YouTube, when you subscribe there, you can listen to full-length audio episodes and watch full-length video interviews, no matter where it is across the board. Make sure you find us at Getting Overcast. Chris, we have a loaded show for everyone today, as we always do. I mean, when it comes to our WWE Week in Review, obviously, we're generally talking about 4.5 hours of programming. Well, that has already been pushed up to 5.5 hours of programming, plus a ton of news coming from 2025 into 2026. So normally we would just shoot the shit here at the start of the show. We've already kind of done that a little bit to start the year. I want to remind everyone, we have the 2025 Year in Review episode already in our archive. Make sure you listen to that if you have not heard it already. I'll also tell you that this week here on the Getting Over Wrestling podcast, you know what time it is. The 2025 Getting Over Awards, aka
the meaties.
We are going to do our absolute best to have that out for you Wednesday or Thursday this week. It's possible it takes a little bit longer. We will update you on social media at Getting Overcast when the episode will be published, but those awards are coming to your ear holes before the week is out. You can absolutely count on that. We have also teased some new additions coming here to the Getting Over Wrestling podcast. We will discuss all of those next week. Same bat time, same bat channel in this exact space. Some cool stuff that you guys can utilize to contribute to the show, both in terms of for the entire year and on really a daily basis. All of that coming up. We will announce it for you next week right here in this space. So let's not waste any time. Like I said, a bunch to talk about from WWE. We're going to cover it, as we always do, in the main event and the good, the bad, and the ugly.
But I'm afraid I've got some news.
And there's a lot that happened over the last, 2 weeks or so. Bunch of quick hitter items. I'm going to run through a bunch of them, Chris. Jump in if there's anything specific that you want to talk about, but we will circle around to the Raw and SmackDown conversation momentarily. Michael Cole opened the first SmackDown of 2026 by trolling the, quote, lousy Jets, which was so unexpected, but appreciated. It made me laugh decently hard as a Miami Dolphins fan. Chad Gable posted an Instagram story, working out, looking like an absolute beast. It seems like he was able to use his shoulders just fine. So I presume he's returning soon from the rotator cuff injury that cost him half of 2025. I could see that happening on TV and not the Royal Rumble. But as we talked about last week, there's a lot of people who can come back for the men's Royal Rumble match, the women's match as well, but especially the men, where it's going to be exciting because you're going to see a bunch of people you haven't seen in a long time without it being new signings or legends. And it's rare that WWE has that many notable injuries at once where they're all able to, or many of them at least, should be able to come back at a signature event like the Royal Rumble. Apollo Crews returned to the ring Friday during a taping of WWE Main Event. It was his first match in a calendar year, coming back from a torn pectoral. Mi Chin injured her shoulder during a house show, and she said that she's out temporarily, whatever that means. B-Fab reportedly suffered a concussion at a subsequent house show, which required WWE to use Bayley against Jade Cargill in following shows. Really sad state of affairs that SmackDown women's division. I hope both of them obviously recover quickly. There was a report out late last week that Tommaso Ciampa's contract is expiring in a few months and he will not be renewing it with WWE. It's going to be interesting to see what happens there. He could walk into TNA as a main eventer, a legitimate world champion there immediately. AEW, he'd kind of just be another guy in the lower to mid card. I don't see him going overseas or rounding the indies. He has family and a daughter that he loves spending time with. He's a no doubt WWE Performance Center coach and trainer in the future, one would imagine. This means that Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae are basically going to be on their own. One would assume back in WWE, you saw some of that Friday night on SmackDown. I know I was going to just power through these, Chris, but do you have any thoughts specifically on Ciampa?
No, that doesn't surprise me. I mean, he obviously hasn't done much the last couple of years, and if he feels he wants to go somewhere else at this stage in his career, that makes sense. And you mentioning that like TNA makes a lot of sense is a good example of how TNA kind of rising up through this partnership with WWE is good for talent. In the end, I know there was some, there were thoughts at the time that WWE's using TNA to put more people under the WWE umbrella and force out competition. Like, not necessarily. And the fact that there's now a third, I think we would say legitimately good option for workers is good. If he goes there, I'm just saying, but you saying that made me think of that.
Yeah. It's more about, now that TNA has the deal with AMC, which is starting, I want to say on January 16th, I've
seen a lot of commercials for it. And there's actually a TNA taping here in Dallas next week.
Nice.
Like the day before I would leave for the national championship. So I'm not sure if I would go or not, but I'm considering it because I'm actually kind of interested in TNA right now.
Interesting that that's a taping when I presumed the debut episode was going to be live.
Or I guess it could be live. I guess it could be. I'm not sure specifically. But they're here next Wednesday, I think it is.
Oh yeah, I mean it's going to be a Thursday show, so it's going to maybe they're taping future content then that doesn't impact.
They might be doing live and tape, maybe.
Yeah, but the show airs on Thursdays though, so yeah, it's gonna be curious. But the point that you're making is they have this TV deal. They have money now coming in, millions of additional dollars every year. They can pay talent and get more significant names. You bring in someone like Ciampa over there. He is a world champion in TNA. Like, there's not even a question about it. And he's doing well in that role because we know he can cut a promo and we know he can wrestle. I do wonder, what would have happened if WWE really understood how to book the tag team division on SmackDown through the end of the year. Would he have been satiated with them actively working every single week and getting good run and being champions and so on and so forth? Did he just want to be a singles performer? Does he just want to be in a different role? I don't know. But what I do know is however long he wrestles, I think he's 40 and he doesn't have much time left because of his neck injuries and stuff. He will be back in WWE as a coach. I would be absolutely floored if he did not wind up in the WWE Performance Center working and training with all those kids.
One correction on my part. It is Thursday Night Impact live next Thursday, correct?
Okay, so that's the show. Okay.
And then Genesis, which I think is the pay-per-view, that Saturday in the same spot.
Got it.
I don't think I'll be able to go to either of those because I'll be going down to the national championship game.
Where you will be meeting the Silver King for the first time. Chris and I, we didn't even bring this up, and I don't know if we were going to. Chris and I have never met, as you guys have known, which is crazy, considering how long we've been doing the podcast. We've been going to college football games separately, different games, different years, different times. We will both finally be in the same city at the same time at the same event. And that will be in Miami, technically Miami Gardens, Florida, for the 2026 College Football Playoff National Championship. So that'll be fun. I wish we had time to tape a show or do something like that. We won't. But it'll be cool to meet each other and hang out a little bit. Eminem featuring Juice WRLD, the song Godzilla, is the official theme for Raw in 2026. I have been waiting nearly 30 years for Eminem to get an official theme for WWE. Relatively gobsmacked, this is the track that they chose. But A, beggars can't be choosers. B, since WWE does not do full openings anymore, it's really just bumper music. So that song does make sense. It's a good beat. It plays. Either way, this is a huge win for the Silver King to kick off the year. Eminem on Raw. That's awesome. Okay.
Yeah. Well, on that point, obviously, like Eminem, like the song, it's all good. It still feels weird as a theme for the wrestling show, but like you said, it's kind of just bumper music now. They don't give you the big entrance to the show anymore, and they haven't done that for a couple of years. They just go straight to people walking into the arena.
Mhm.
And there's not a big graphic musical opening to the shows anymore. So it is what that is at that point. And for that purpose, I think it works. Even if I wish rock music would come back more.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. And I like the idea, by the way, of one show being a little bit more hip hop in terms of the bumper and another being a little bit more rock. But I think if you're doing bumper music, then hip hop beats make more sense than just rock music. It doesn't play the same way, right? But if they had real themes, and I do agree that it should be kind of separate, and you should have one that would be a little bit more hip hop, one a little bit more rock. But again, that's not the way WWE is doing things in 2026. All right, on to the TV shows this week. Best SmackDown of the year. But seriously, best SmackDown in months. And that was without any truly big names wrestling. They nailed the surprises in key moments. They kept the show flowing through 3 hours. The matches got a lot of time. That does not mean this is going to continue week to week. We could be right back here in 7 days saying, man, SmackDown sucks just like it always did. It was a 1 week mirage. But as we recalled on last week's show, SmackDown was better at 3 hours near the end of that run in 2025, and it fell off when it went back to 2 hours. The women's division died. The tag team division really died, plus the inclusion of the Wyatt Six there. And just matches didn't get time, and the show felt rushed. This 3 hour show, I know it's a lot of content, and I know people see it on a piece of paper on their screen. SmackDown, 3 hours, and you roll your eyes like, oh, God. But I'm telling you, the show is better when it's longer. I don't know how that's possible. That used to be the opposite for Raw back in the day. It's working on Friday nights, or at least it worked this week.
Yes, and they'll get used to the pacing more as it goes on, but it did feel like a more complete show. It didn't feel like things were rushed. That SmackDown has typically felt rushed because they know they have less time.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last couple, when they were taped, didn't feel as rushed because they weren't rushing.
Right.
So it's a lot. It's easier to watch 3 hours now that we're almost out of football season, but good step forward.
In terms of Raw, we said last week we would have a 1 year retrospective about the move to Netflix. We will get to that momentarily. Before we do, let's talk about this past Monday night, specifically with the Stranger Things collaboration. I don't have much of a frame of reference when it comes to that show. What I can say is the production, the visual elements, they were all on point. Everything being dark, red and black. It was the perfect tone to match Raw thematically. The chapters they used to transition into each segment, those were really cool. Everything looked great. However, the entire introduction with Corey Graves and Michael Cole, it came across incredibly forced. And the collab itself was entirely superficial. They just force-fed us key terms like Stranger Things, weird, upside down. There were no stipulation matches, or there was no unique ring attire. I'm not saying I wanted those things, but this was like buying a bottle of Stranger Things Coca-Cola. The label was different, but the contents were exactly the same. And when you consider Raw as exclusive to Netflix, and Stranger Things is arguably the biggest show on the platform, I'm not entirely sure the point of this, other than just pure brand synergy. It felt like a crossover just to do a crossover, which is fine for a partner, but it probably should not have been done on the first Raw unopposed to Monday Night Football since August, and the first Raw of the year, a loaded show that you're trying to pack full for your audience that is coming back to you wanting to watch professional wrestling. It was ill-fitting. The crowd hardly cared. The excitement from Brooklyn was zapped before the show even began. I'm not going to say correlation equals causation, but it was tough to understand why a Barclays Center crowd was as quiet as it was for this entire show, because there was plenty that happened. Major title changes, some of their favorites showed up, but Raw was less energetic than SmackDown, apples to apples, despite Brooklyn and New York City as a whole being among WWE's best crowds every single time they're there. By the time the first 6 minutes of the show, which was all Stranger Things shit, by the time that ended, it felt to me like the crowd was thinking, okay, can we just watch a freaking wrestling show or what? The whole thing came off strange, and no, that's not the way it was intended. It didn't come off strange to be Stranger Things. It just came off like a really odd episode of Raw, and I couldn't shake that feeling as I was watching it. And I'm not someone who has an issue with brand synergy or sponsored shows. Like, I don't like it, but I understand it. This just went beyond that to a point where I was like, this is now 2 years in a row, Chris, where to me, they botched the first Raw of the year. Last year more so, but this year as well.
Did it shake up the foundations like the Shazam Fury of the Gods with AEW?
That wasn't the phrase, shake up the...
I don't remember exactly what the phrase
I'm going to have to remember it, but no, it didn't. I mean, you know what? No, it didn't. That one did more because at least they changed the name of a title because of that, but yeah.
So here's the weird thing about this. First off, there is like, I don't know, there's not much crossover, I don't think, for a live crowd of wrestling fans. As you want to say, kids watch Stranger Things, kids watch wrestling, like, okay, you can kind of see it. But they're two completely different, just like brands. One of them is about like fighting, and it's just a very weird two things.
Do you watch that show, by the way?
So here's the thing. I watched the finale.
Okay.
Over the weekend.
Having never watched any other episode?
Having never watched it.
Why did you do that?
I've done that for some big shows that I just missed and didn't have time to catch up on. I did that with Breaking Bad. I did that with Mad Men. I did that with Lost. Some of these shows I went back and watched, but I got into like Game of Thrones at the very end. And I did read some like Wikipedia stuff to like catch myself up and just kind of understand who everybody is. And not knowing anything and then knowing a little bit, I thought the finale was fine. But here's the thing. That's the other weird part of it. We just aired the finale. This isn't like the new final season is coming and we're promoting it. You're promoting the show right when it ended, which to me is weird. And I know in streaming, like, stuff can live on forever and you can get into it at any time. But I feel like you kind of missed the moment at that point, because this was in theaters over New Year's, the finale. Like, everybody who loves Stranger Things got their Stranger Things finale. So then jump into promoting it now after the fact, long episodes, it's a 2-hour finale. Like, it's a long ask for people. So that timing to me just felt a little bit weird. Also, they did mention the Netflix House Philadelphia. There's one in Dallas that just opened up. I've not been to it, but it's like a haunted house type of thing that's got a bunch of Netflix shows. And I think the brand of it is all a little bit weird. But like, if you didn't watch Stranger Things, did anything on WWE make you want to go watch it?
No, not at all. In fact, I'm someone who tried to watch Stranger Things, like, I guess probably in year 2 or year 3 of its existence. I put on the first episode. I watched 20 minutes. I was like, this is not for me. I'm not tuning back in. This did nothing to that end. Now, I will say the criticism of doing this now that the show is already aired, that doesn't hold for me because it's a streaming service and it's on demand. You can go watch it at any time. So if you're someone who perhaps hasn't caught on to the bandwagon yet, then okay, promoting it is cool. But it would have made a lot more sense to me to do this ahead of time. They probably should have done this crossover on the last live Raw of 2025. Then they could have done the 2 taped shows. Or if you're going to do this, separate it out. This is the point I was making. Separate it out from your first Raw unopposed with the NFL to start the year with this loaded card. It was too much that was trying to be accomplished in a singular episode. It mushed it all together. We got less than we otherwise would have. There were 2 segments. There was one segment that happened on the show that shouldn't have. There was another segment that didn't happen on the show that should have. We didn't get follow-up to a lot of stuff that happened last week. I was just kind of dumbfounded at the way this was put together and how they thought this would work.
Yeah, it was strange.
So now WWE comes out of this Raw, wasted momentum, as I said, unopposed to the NFL. Next week, they're in Germany with a 2 p.m. Eastern start. Now, I understand they're touring Europe on either side of the Saudi Arabia shows. That makes a ton of sense to do that. What I don't understand is why they're starting 2 weeks beforehand. So not only do we have a WWE Championship match on SmackDown that's going to air on a 6-hour tape delay, and it's not just a regular match, it's 3 stages of hell, possible feud ender with Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre. But now Raw is going to air live during the workday. These are the types of decisions that WWE makes, Chris, where I wish I worked there so I could smack some people upside the head and ask, did you really think this through? Did you really believe this was the best possible way to accomplish whatever we're talking about? It maddens me.
Well,
some of this stuff.
Well, the European tours are always 2 weeks, so doing it 2 weeks into the Rumble makes
but you
sense.
could do it. You could do it on one side of the Rumble and then on the other side of the Rumble. Why are you
that's
doing
a lot of? But you're going to Europe, to Saudi Arabia, to Europe, and that's a lot of travel and setup.
guess.
I understand why they're doing the way that is. My only problem
You're leading into your second biggest premium live event of the year in terms of, one that people acknowledge and watch and they feel like they have time to see. You're leading into that 2 weeks of shows in Europe, 2 SmackDowns that are tape delayed, and then 2 Raws that are airing at 2 to 3 o'clock Eastern.
Well, it's almost like putting your second biggest show in Saudi Arabia is
fair enough.
A dumb idea,
Yeah.
even though I understand the finances of it all. But
Yeah.
in terms of just the logistics, I understand why they're doing that. But having a Cody Rhodes championship match on that tape delay is hence the problem. That's the issue that, yes,
It's the bigger issue.
Is a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's one that's just sticking in my craw that I'm not going to get over. Okay, let's talk about Raw on Netflix, year one retrospective. We do not need to go long on this, but here's what I'll say. The streams and picture quality, they've been perfect. The partnership seems to be working. The user experience, it was strong until they made the commercials unskippable for Americans, even if you start the show late. That to me is a horrible experience. Even beyond the extra content, the commercial aspect is the primary reason why I do suggest using a VPN. It makes watching the show so much better and less annoying. Beyond that, WWE, they continue to hide key content during commercials, which many of them are not shown on social media and none of them are available on replay. So it would be one thing if you watch Raw live and there's commercials, but then you watch the replay and you can see all that extra content. You can't, even if you live in Europe or another country outside of the United States. That happened again Monday night where key content was hidden during a commercial break. It happened last week with Finn Balor. It happened this week with Javon Evans, and it's previously happened multiple times with New Day. Most shows beyond that are now ending around 2 hours and 20 minutes. It makes me shake my head because of the depth of the Raw roster. When Raw started on Netflix, we were told the show timing would be far looser and episodes would end at a variety of times. 2:15, 2:45, 2:37, whatever the case might be. WWE is treating it like it has a hard out, and I understand it needs to plan its show, and it cannot just go full improv by the seat of its pants, but why are you excluding content from your show to hit an arbitrary marker? Because that's what it is now on Netflix. It's an arbitrary marker. There's nothing that's coming after it where they can't run long or short or whatever the case might be. If there's a week where people are injured and you don't have as much content or people are on vacation, then do a 2:15 show, do a 2-hour show. If there's a week where you need a Finn Balor promo or you need a Javon Evans contract signing, then go over 6 minutes and book it into your show. Like, these things don't make sense to me. Also, WWE treating Raw like a PG show on broadcast television, despite it being on Netflix, is straight up nonsensical. I'm not saying they should be using the F word ever, but letting shit or asshole or similar words pop through every now and then should really not be a tough ask. So all in all, Raw on Netflix, it's a fine experience. It's not quote unquote worse than USA Network per se, but it does not seem like WWE is utilizing the uniqueness and flexibility of the Netflix platform to make it feel as different as it could and possibly should.
You know what's funny? You know a show on Netflix that uses the F word from time to time? Stranger Things.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah, they used it in the finale, and I looked it up, and if this had happened before, and it had a couple of times, so there's that. That part is weird. I think in terms of the commercial content, yes, I don't understand it at all. I don't understand why it's not just put up on social. The amount of times you've had to say, "Oh, there was a great New Day segment that they showed that wasn't on social." I don't get it. They put everything on social media. I remain confused why they don't put that stuff on there. It's just frankly just very strange to me. Mm-hmm. The broadcast quality is the same. It's fine. We knew it would be. It's WWE producing this thing. That's all fine. I find rewinding to like see something. Oh, I missed something. Let me jump back.
It's terrible. Yeah.
It's frustrating.
Yeah.
Like YouTube TV is actually the best way to do it. on my Roku. You just hit the rewind button once, it jumps back 10 seconds. It's a little finicky on the Netflix app on my Roku TV. So that has been a little bit annoying. But other than that, I not being able to multi-view it or not being able to switch between commercials is frustrating. What I have done during football season ultimately is I have one on my iPad and one on my TV. And I just watch them on two different screens. So there's that. Ultimately,
by the way, professional,
I've said this
before. Professional college football writer and reporter with one television in his home.
Well, no, I have more TVs in my home.
Well, in the main room. You one TV in your main room.
Well, because usually I multi-view it all. And then if I need something, I have my iPad.
Yeah, but then they're in little tiny little squares. Don't you want big screen experience?
Yeah, I'm more about catching everything. That's what I'm usually trying to do on Saturdays. So ultimately, a couple frustrating things. What would we say are the positives of the Netflix era as a viewer? Is there anything that's better?
The picture quality is much better.
Okay, I think I agree with that.
And frankly, the experience watching on VPN is phenomenal. Like, I'm not trying to promote. I'm not even going to do the ad here. I'm just being completely candid. I put it on at 8:00 and I watch wrestling for 2 hours and 30 minutes, pretty much uninterrupted. There's many of the matches you feel more fulfilled watching them because you see what happens during the break. The stuff during the break is not rest holds like it used to be when Raw and SmackDown go to commercial in the United States, or, back in the day, where they just kind of rest and then they come back. There's moves. Like, if you have any type of match involving a luchador or the most talented women, Bayley and Lyra Valkyria, Lyra Valkyria and Liv Morgan, the match was just as good, if not better, during the commercial than it was live. The Gunther matches that we got during the Last Time Is Now tournament, all that extra content, the stuff like the promos and things that we get as well, to me, that's immensely valuable. So you get the high quality streams, you get the extra content, watching either in Europe, overseas, or without the VPN. But also, I like the ability to access it. I don't mind not having to go to YouTube TV where you are stuck, not just watching commercials, but like, if you're rewinding, you have to fast forward through it. If you're watching Raw on replay, you just put it on and it just airs. You don't have to skip anything. Yes. So there's a lot of positives about it. I just feel like they're scratching the surface of what they can do. When Raw on Netflix started, like January, February, March last year, it felt fresh. Now it just kind of feels like the same as SmackDown, like they've homogenized it again. And I don't understand why they're not taking advantage of the things that Netflix offers that are unique. And it's really,
I would say, I'm not going to give WWE and Netflix credit for what you're watching with the VPN because they don't want you to, like, most Americans are not getting that. Totally. So I'm not counting, like, we have a workround to make it
You
better.
asked me, though, what I like about it. So that's what I was explaining. Yeah.
But I think most people, unless you obviously take advantage of that deal, I don't want to give credit to them for that because that's not kind of the point. So I would say it's pretty much the same. I think there's a couple things that are better. I actually like the show being shorter, honestly. I think 2.5 hours ends up being a pretty good sweet spot for the length of a show. So I have enjoyed that part of it. So it's like there's some positives and negatives. I think ultimately at this point, like you said, it feels a lot more normal than maybe it did at the beginning.
Yeah, for sure. Now, when it comes to WWE and Netflix, there's actually a bit of news here as well. WWE officially announced Tuesday the entire Premium Live Event archive and Raw archive, along with originals and documentaries. They are part of an expanded deal with Netflix. Internationally, you already get these here in the United States. Everything is now on Netflix. There's no time period detailed. I'm assuming it's going to run concurrently with at least the first half of the Raw TV contract. You'll remember Netflix has a really weird option to extend that deal for the same amount of money. WWE noted that this is a non-exclusive deal, which I suppose means some of this can also wind up on YouTube or other platforms. What remains unknown is what's happening with the SmackDown archive, as well as the future of NXT Premium Live Events, both old ones and new ones. Old NXT episodes are currently on the CW app. Vengeance Day has not yet been announced for 2026. I presume they're waiting until the deal is signed, but the clock is ticking. I have no idea where that's going to air. Anyway, WWE content is now mostly on Netflix. I've reached out to WWE about NXT specifically. Have not heard anything back. I watched a couple matches from WrestleMania 41 last night before finishing my ballot for the 2025 Getting Over Awards, aka
the meaties.
And the process was seamless. It was even better than watching Raw on Netflix. You can fast forward and you see little screenshots so you know exactly where to stop. They don't have those match markers like the WWE Network used to, but it's totally seamless. Way better
good.
Than Peacock. Like, it kicks the shit out of Peacock. The quality is great. There's no buffering, or at least there wasn't buffering for me. And Peacock, sometimes it takes a minute to get like the high quality picture, and rewatching on ESPN largely sucks. But just to clarify, ESPN, you still, if any premium live event from September 2025 onward, it's going to be there. This is for everything that happened before September 2025. So this isn't going to benefit us for future premium live events, only ones in the past. I enjoyed it immensely. I think it's positive that WWE is on Netflix. Just put it all under as few ecosystems as possible. But again, we don't yet know what's happening with NXT, possibly some type of deal with TNA. AAA is supposed to get some type of deal here in the United States. Is that going to be all Peacock? It could make sense. They have a Spanish language channel. Is it going to get separated? I don't have the answers to those questions.
Yeah, I'm looking at this now. I pulled up an old pay-per-view. Knowing like with the little, when you're the timeline, as you hover your mouse over it or whatever, where you can see where you're at, that's so helpful.
Mm-hmm.
That was such a problem before. But in terms of, you pretty much just have to search it, right? Like, it doesn't seem like there's a clear WWE tag like there was on Peacock.
Yeah, there's not a separate category. It did populate a lot of them into my recommendations, like WrestleMania, Royal Rumble. There was a random one like bragging rights. I don't know why. I don't know why the algorithm told me I would, or thought I would want that. But if you search, it's easy. Like, I literally typed WRES and like WrestleMania was like the third one. It was like Raw Archive, WrestleMania. It was like the third option.
I'm trying to see, like, do they have like I'm trying to find out. Like, I searched WCW to see if any of that stuff shows up.
The WCW and ECW stuff, it's all getting uploaded to a vault on YouTube. So they want you to watch commercials for all that content. And
which is fine. And so like, it just makes it frustrating though when you got to go to different places to find.
Oh, it sucks. Yeah.
And I really miss. Everybody made fun of the WWE Network at the time, but man, we didn't know how good we had it, did we?
The two greatest modern media inventions were MLB TV, the original version.
Yep.
And WWE Network, which actually worked off the MLB AM platform, Advanced Media.
Yep.
They worked together. They were incredible. WWE Network was way ahead of its time. I think people forget, when WWE Network was conceptualized, Vince McMahon wanted it to be like NFL Network. He wanted a cable channel.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't work. There were barriers to entry. I'm forgetting the specifics behind it. They
had that like WWE 24/7 like kind of channel.
It was like a VOD paid type of channel. But they wanted to be on. They wanted a network with constant programming. That's why they did like the Legends House and all those shows. And that ended up not happening. They got convinced by someone very smart that the way to go is streaming. And they created it, and it worked, and the price was right. The truth is, though, Chris, everyone says, "Oh, I wish we had WWE Network for $9.99." In 2025, 26, I assume it would be at least $19.99, if not $24.99 a month.
Yep. And now it's under places like, I already have Netflix, so I'm actually not paying more for it. Once the ESPN thing got settled with YouTube TV, then I'm not paying for that. Like, yes, rates can go up over time and kinds of stuff like that, but it wasn't its own separate thing. And in some ways you do save money, frankly, which is good. I remember at the time, because CM Punk was questioning what it was going to mean for wrestler salaries, because they used to get pay-per-view bonuses.
Right.
Like, he was very much questioning what this was going to mean. That was a real concern at the time.
It was.
But now the wrestlers are making more than ever. So
and
it
it's baked into their contracts. They don't do the bonuses and stuff anymore. Yeah. Although maybe there's individuals who get them, but the majority of talent, it's baked in. Did you, by the way, get to see the trailer for WWE Unreal Season 2?
I did.
What'd you think?
It was a lot better. It looked a lot more interesting than the first one, because the first season, it felt like it was for people who don't know pro wrestling. Mm-hmm. It was like, here's how wrestling works. This one feels more like this one's for the wrestling fans.
I agree.
And the Paul Heyman opening was very him, very catchy. A great way to like start that off, to say like, I come from a generation that didn't want this to be public. So like acknowledging that up front, because that was a criticism that I kind of had, which was just like, I kind of don't want to know this, like there's like a part of me that feels that way. I can already tell I'm going to continue to be angry over the Seth Rollins injury thing and feeling at the time that we said, oh, they did a fake injury storyline specifically for Unreal. Yeah. And guess what? It looks like this is going to be a focus.
It's going to be really interesting to see like how much truth shines through, because they're mentioning R-Truth getting fired. And they have Road Dogg there saying like he didn't know it was happening. He just got informed, and so on. Naomi briefly mentions walking out of WWE. Are they going to get into that? Or are they just going to, say it superficially and move on from it? Paul Heyman as the antagonist. Love it. I actually would love him to be the antagonist for the whole season, where they try to film him backstage. No, not now. Like, you need that kind of drama on manufactured reality documentary, which this is. It's
a reality show within a reality show.
Well, all reality shows, number one, are manufactured. But yes, this is a reality documentary within a reality show, which is it's a doctored reality documentary inside a kayfabe reality show, basically.
It's a documentary version kind of what Total Divas was back in the day.
Right, to a degree. I mean, that, with Total Divas and like Ms. and Mrs., it's so blatant where they set up like, you guys just happen to go paintballing today and there's no one else there and everyone has the exact same gear, like that to me has always been too tough to suspend the disbelief.
Yes.
With this, at least even in season 1, they were able to do that a little bit, but I am excited to get away from like the Cody Rhodes and Rock and maybe Paul Levesque of it all, and actually do what the other Netflix documentaries do, like for the Quarterback Show in Full Swing, where they talk to the actual athletes. I want to see more about Naomi's life and what Paul Heyman does. And this Ron Killings deal, like if you tell me that, if they tell us the truth on that, we cut him for financial reasons and we didn't think the fans would care, and oh my God, we were wrong, and so on and so forth. If they actually tell us that, I'm going to feel a lot better about this than if they just say, oh yeah, it's all part of the show, like Paul Levesque did on that press conference after he returned.
Is it possible the R-Truth thing was totally fake for the purpose of Unreal?
Is it possible? It's absolutely possible. Do I believe it was? No. Could they kayfabe it as that being the case? They absolutely could.
Yeah.
And the question is, are they going to insult us and try to lie to us that way? Or are they not?
Yeah. I watched the entire first season on my flight to Italy in the summer. And so maybe I'll have to, I don't know, if I'm curious if it will be all dropped at once or if they'll do it weekly or not.
I believe it's going to be all dropped at once, and fingers crossed that you and I get a sneak preview again so we can discuss it on the show. So we'll find out, but I'll do our best to get us those embargoed copies.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. But look, we got a lot to talk about still on this show. We went a little bit longer during the news segment than I expected. I do need to remind you, though, that here at Getting Over,
I happen to love the number 5.
And I hope you do as well, because for $5 a month or $50 for the entire year, you can become an official Getting Over head. Just visit buymeacoffee.com/gettingover, sign up. You'll get the bonus audio, the fastest 5 minutes in professional wrestling, instant reactions to every major show, and exclusive news analysis posts every week. We got a brand new year-long subscriber just last night. Anthony T signed up, didn't leave a comment, but nevertheless, Anthony, we appreciate your support and we acknowledge you.
Acknowledge. Big acknowledgement right there.
Acknowledge.
Again, support us, get extra content, buymeacoffee.com/gettingover. All right, Chris, it is time to break down everything that happened across Raw and SmackDown this week, and we're kicking it off, as we always do, by sliding into the main event.
This is the main event.
Randy Orton backstage told Cody Rhodes out of respect he's coming for the WWE Championship once Cody retains over Drew McIntyre. Randy returned earlier in the show. We'll discuss that in a moment. Nick Aldis then found Rhodes, reminding him that he can't touch McIntyre when the 3 stages of hell stipulations are announced on SmackDown. This tease of Cody Randy, Chris, it had me believing Rhodes might actually lose the WWE title. Unless Orton is going to turn heel and fight Rhodes at WrestleMania, I'm not sure why you would tease it like this. The reason to do it would be to swerve fans' expectations of next week's result. Again, that's just how I felt coming out of the segment.
Well, yes, on the swerve part, because my first thought was, oh, Randy Cody, which they've hinted at a couple of times since Cody has been champion. That's where my head went. Maybe that's where my head was supposed to go for other reasons. Yeah.
But if you're going to do that storyline, it should not be Randy nicely coming up to Cody and saying, hey, I'm going to challenge for your title. It should be him turning on him, RKO. He's greedy. He wants that, championship. He wants to catch John Cena, whatever the case might be. It shouldn't be a little nice babyface feud, right?
Agree. But that's also the issue I had with his return, which we'll get into
a little bit. All right. So Cody later came across Sami Zayn backstage, referring to a segment we will also talk about a little bit later. Sami said he cares about him immensely, but remains focused on his future success. Rhodes decided to hit the ring to get his deal with McIntyre over for the night. This opened hour 3. Rhodes said he couldn't wait for their fight, suggesting that he plays dumb and plays nice most of the time, while others may call themselves the final boss, the tribal chief, the Scottish warrior of the game. Cody calls himself the champ. McIntyre interrupted on the Titantron, standing in front of Rhodes' tour bus, saying, in a world filled with shades of gray, Cody is as vanilla as it gets. Pretty good line. McIntyre shared his 3 stages of hell: regular match, falls count anywhere, and a sudden death old school steel cage match. Drew claimed he's already broken Cody mentally, whereas next week he'll break him physically. McIntyre then tried to goad Rhodes into attacking him by showing that he had entered the tour bus, rummaged around, and found a framed picture of Cody and Dusty. He said Dusty was looking up, ashamed at his son. While people believe McIntyre won't be champion again, Dusty will need a coat because it's going to get real chilly in hell, was the insinuation. McIntyre stomped on the picture, but after Rhodes ran out and got stopped by a dozen people from attacking, Drew had clearly pulled a fast one on him. Instead, he was standing in the middle of the ring with a trash can, taking 10 minutes to set a picture on fire, dropping it into the can as Cody screamed bloody murder and a dozen people held him back from entering the ring. McIntyre then leaned through the bottom ropes, daring Rhodes to hit him, as Aldis yelled that he was sick. You're sick in the head. Cody eventually got dragged to the back, and that is how this segment ended. My first thought when this was over, man, McIntyre is not winning the WWE Championship next week. After all of that, it is going to be devastating. Talk about reestablishing someone as a monster heel, though. Drew came across as an absolute piece of garbage here. The stipulations for the match, could they have been more creative? Of course. Hell, I may have accidentally predicted all 3 of them last week, but I am curious what old school steel cage means. Are they going to honor Dusty for real and do like the thick blue bars and everything? If so, that will be awesome. Anyway, McIntyre was amazing here. Rhodes sold it incredibly well, being incensed, going at him not once but twice. It was nicely juxtaposed by Cody being cool, calm, and collected for the prior 2 hours, proving that Drew can make him snap on a dime. I sincerely hope I'm wrong in my pessimism about next week, because winning the WWE title after this segment would put McIntyre in perfect position to be a heel champion. It would seriously freshen up the overall product, and it would be strapping a rocket to his back for the second time. So my fingers are crossed. I hope it happens. I don't believe it will, but this segment was a home run.
2 steps too corny for me.
Really? Oh. Okay.
It's just a random picture. We know nothing of the history of this picture. Surely Cody has many pictures with his dad. We don't know what it means. Stomping on it was weird. It's a picture. and then security doing everything they can, like 10 people or whatever, holding back Cody Rhodes to let Drew McIntyre burn the photo. None of the security decided to go, hey, maybe let's also stop Drew from doing this. That was a little like too far disbelief. Like, all this isn't trying to stop this. They're all totally fine with Drew McIntyre doing this, but you can't let Cody put his hands on Drew for the sake of the title. It was a little too, there were just a couple of holes there for me that I was like, I get what they're going for. It felt like something they just came up with the day of, though.
Really?
And there was no things to set it up. At first when the CM Punk bracelet was like, well, this is a random thing. But then eventually over time, they explained that the bracelet meant something and whatever. If it was corny, it wasn't corny. They eventually kind of had a backstory for it. This is just a random picture. I don't know why he cared so much about a picture.
It was
It's not like
representative. It was him disrespecting his father's name and legacy. It wasn't so much the item that was
everybody's
at issue.
disrespect. Every single person who was feuded with Cody Rhodes has disrespected Dusty Rhodes.
Not-
I don't know why
not like
burning
that.
a single picture.
Not like
I don't
that,
know why
dude.
burning a single picture sends Cody over the edge.
I think
because I don't know what this picture means. Like is it like this is the first picture we took in WWE? It's the only one we have. I don't know. It was just a picture. So I was like, well,
I'm not gonna argue about whether you liked it or not. But to say everyone that feuded with Cody has done that, it's just really not true. Like Roman Reigns was respectful of Dusty the entire feud. John Cena didn't mention him, and if he did, it was in
more
reverence.
than you.
What? Yeah,
Dusty is a part of every Cody.
Yeah, Drew saying that he's in hell, and he's trying to trash his legacy.
That's good. I like that.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's not. No, I'm just saying this has not been pulled out before. Like, okay, is the picture itself stupid? Yes. And Cody getting upset.
Well, that's the whole thing was based around the picture.
No, but it was Drew.
It was
Drew shitting on Dusty and Drew goading Cody into anger.
I know,
because he knows Cody's sensitive about his father.
It's just weird that security was not stopping Drew at all when they had 10 people there to stop Cody.
They're stopping Cody because he's the babyface champion. They don't want him to have to drop the title. Drew's just burning a picture. What's Drew doing?
Yeah, but clearly this is a bad thing that Drew is doing. Why security is there and not doing it?
What are they going to stop? What's illegal that he did? What's wrong that he's doing?
Cody's not doing anything illegal.
No, they're trying to protect him from himself.
Security breaks up people all the time. If you're going to have security out there and like holding Cody back, nobody being like, let's also stop Drew.
From doing what?
That was a little too much.
From doing what? Burning a picture?
Yes, because it was clearly a problem to Cody.
So you want to stop someone from being mean, is what you're saying. Not hurting someone. You want to stop him from being mean.
Security already out there. Security holding back the babyface to let the heel do a heel thing.
No, they're holding back the babyface from costing himself the title out of anger.
But it's letting Drew do heel.
So
things.
what? He's
weird.
burning a picture.
That's weird.
Why is that? He's not doing anything.
That doesn't normally happen. That's why I'm saying it was weird.
That's happened before.
Agree to disagree.
That's definitely it has definitely happened before.
That dynamic was so weird. The idea that security was out there to stop Cody and make him watch Drew do this was just bizarre.
Okay, no, they were all right. So now you're kind of conflated. They were stopping Cody from costing himself the title. They weren't holding him to make him watch Drew. They could have. They were trying to turn him away. They
weren't stopping Drew.
But why do you want them to stop Drew? What was he doing that needed to be stopped?
I'm just saying, if security's out there to stop this from happening, then they should stop every aspect of it from happening.
I disagree. It's wrestling. A. B. I just completely disagree.
If you agree with me, send me a DM because I feel like I'm not crazy on this one.
I think you not liking it is
texted me the same thing during the show.
You not liking it, I have no problem with. You thinking the picture is silly, I have no problem with. You suggesting security should have stopped McIntyre from burning a picture and being mean, I have a problem with that take.
Out there.
But their purpose for being out there, the only reason they're there is to stop Cody from costing himself the championship. That's their only purpose.
I think it's poor leadership from Nick Aldis. Like Cody should be fired.
Then you can argue everyone else holding him back. Nick should have gotten in the ring and talked down Drew. He should have been talking down Drew. If you want to say that, okay. But to suggest that security should have taken this guy by the arms to stop him from burning a picture and being mean, to me, that's way too far. Aldis on the mic, Drew, stop this. You know what you're doing. Blah, blah, blah. I could accept that. But physically restraining McIntyre? Come on.
It's security out there holding Cody Rhodes as he watches Drew burn a thing. To me, it's just weird. I just thought it was weird.
All right. Look, we're starting off 2026 with a huge disagreement. How frequently does that happen in a given year? Maybe more this year, but not frequent. So it's positive, all things considered. All right, let's move on from this segment. We clearly disagree about that. Given the stages of hell, okay, it seems pretty clear to me. Tell me if I'm wrong. Cody wins the regulation match. Drew wins the Falls Count Anywhere. And Cody retains in the steel cage. Do you see it going differently?
I mean, you could flip the first two. I could see it, but I don't see Drew winning this. No, in the end.
I mean, if you have McIntyre beat Rhodes in the regulation, so we can say, I would have beaten you straight up. But of course, he's the one who cost himself that because he's the one who chose the 3 stages, right?
Yeah.
That could play.
Yeah.
The other question is, or the other thing that would accomplish is it would put Cody's back against the wall for the duration of the match, which makes it a rousing babyface victory, right? The other thing that I want to discuss, not even discuss, just mention, because I said it last week, is the way he tore down that referee last week, man. It keeps making me believe that the referee is going to screw Drew here, and it's going to quote unquote protect him in a loss. And I don't know what happens after that. If it gets run back
this
again.
Has to end. This has to end.
It has to end. And it has to end. It really should end with McIntyre winning the WWE Championship. I don't see how they do it on a 6-hour tape delayed show in Europe. I can't imagine them doing it.
I agree on both fronts. Although, I mean, Drew won his first title was that tape delay as well, right? When he won at WrestleMania during COVID.
Sure, but no one saw it.
No, I know, but
the clips are going to be everywhere.
Second time.
You know? It would be the second time he won on a tape show. If they don't put McIntyre over after this whole feud, when he could have won the title at WrestlePalooza and dropped it here, right? Like they could have gotten to the same point, and he could have lost this match and lost title back. If they go 5 months of more matches than originally planned for all the reasons we've mentioned previously, and they do this whole segment with McIntyre where he comes off as a despicable heel, and it feels like he's finally being built back into the big bad that we know he can be, and then he just doesn't win in a match that he chose, both in terms of location and stipulation and timing, I don't know what you do with the guy at that point.
I agree. I haven't known for a while, so we'll see.
Before we move on from this, does it feel at all identical to the Kevin Owens feud last year? Like KO was such a piece of crap in the build. He attacked Cody. He was a great heel. We all wanted to see Owens win the title, and then he just didn't. Almost like it's history repeating itself with the same champion during the same time of year.
And also complaints about a referee because Kevin Owens had Cody pinned that one.
That's right. Great call.
It does. And I think we've said that from the beginning, was like, this feels like we're doing other Cody feuds, or it feels like it's a mix of the McIntyre Punk feud and the Cody KO feud, but just not as good as either of those.
If Cody takes the title into WrestleMania, who are your acceptable challengers? Gunther, obviously, we've talked about.
Gunther.
Who else? Randy?
No, not to me. Not to me personally. I would not care that much for that being, if we're going to presume Cody's the main event of night 2, like, I don't want that to be Randy there. I want that to be,
if it's main event night 2, it's Gunther or Roman Reigns. Those are your options.
Yeah, I think those are the only 2 I can think of. Yeah. Unless it's Seth Punk doesn't really fit, other show and all that stuff. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right, let's move.
I'm on the Gunther band. I've been saying it should be Gunther, and we're going to get to Gunther.
Oh yeah, we are going to get to Gunther. Let's move over to Raw. Rey Mysterio backstage told Dragon Lee to keep his head up, calling him the future of Lucha Libre and a WWE champion sooner than later. Penta came up to Rey, thankful for getting the chance to get his back last week against the Vision. Mysterio got gassed up about all that. He was really, getting angry about the Vision, and Penta promised he would be by his side anytime, anywhere. Austin Theory and Logan Paul later got a commercial break promo. Theory was extremely serious, saying Bron Breakker winning the World Heavyweight Championship will be confirmation of their greatness and dominance. Paul was real high energy, saying he joined the Vision because he realized they are not the future, they're the present. I struggle to understand why the Lucha Brothers are not together. Now you have Penta joining not just one, but 2 luchadors, and his brother is still not with him. I don't get it, but all of this together did work well together, to set up the main event nicely.
It did, and credit again, like Logan Paul still showing up all the time.
He is weekly.
And he's not wrestling.
Yeah.
It's adding a lot to the Vision. It's adding a lot to him.
Yeah.
I don't know how long it's going to go, but wanted to acknowledge that he is showing up a lot.
Yeah, I'm never going to like him, but the fact that he's there and working and doing the character stuff and putting the time in addition to just wrestling a couple matches here and there, it is meaningful. It shows that he actually cares about it. And that is,
and it's something different, because normally when he shows up, it's the same thing. It's either a match or it's talking about how rich he is. And that's it. He's doing different things now.
Him being in a faction and not being the lead is so freaking refreshing.
Yeah.
I mean, he was on par with Austin Theory here. He wasn't bigger than him. You know what I mean? Like, that's the way he should be presented. Now, eventually, if he ends up being great and they make him a main eventer, then okay. But he skipped a step. He was doing all the main events without earning it. Now it seems like he's going to earn it, and that's pretty cool.
Yep.
All right, let's move to the World Heavyweight Championship. CM Punk defending against Bron Breakker. This was indeed the main event of the show. There was a tremendous video package for this match in hour 1. Punk was interviewed much closer to the match, saying if he's the underdog, then he's being underrated again, and that's all he needs as motivation. Punk wore a CM varsity jacket to the ring, like the Michigan jackets worn by the Steiner brothers back in the day. Breakker looked surprisingly slim here. He completely dominated the early going. When Punk had a bit of momentum, Breakker immediately snuffed it out, escaping go to sleep and moving into a lung blower. Punk sniffed out a ringside spear with a clothesline off the barricade. Breakker hit a standing moonsault during the break. Back live, he over-emoted, attempting a Frankensteiner, missing Punk's head with his feet entirely, so Punk had to hang himself on the ropes. Breakker sold hitting his head, even though he did not. Punk then improv'd with an elbow drop, and they went back to the Frankensteiner spot, which was idiotic. You missed it. Move on. Going back to it so blatantly breaks the veil of kayfabe for no reason whatsoever. They could have done a superplex and gotten the same result. Anyway, Breakker lifted Punk for his press power slam, but got countered into a tornado DDT. Punk rallied with his signatures, landed a second elbow drop. Paul Heyman distracted as he set up for a GTS, with the Vision running down for further distractions. Breakker ran Punk into the referee, who fell outside the ring. Theory stomped Punk, with Breakker covering for a false finish. Mysterio, Penta, and Dragon all saved, combining for a cool double superkick tornado DDT ringside. Punk dodged a Breakker spear into the post at the last minute, following with GTS for a surprise false finish. I did think the match was over there. Pretty typical WWE booking. Punk added an extra safe pile driver, really bad looking pile driver, but very safe, for another false finish. It was not as rousing considering its softness. When Punk tried a second GTS, Breakker countered directly into an armbar. He nearly escaped with the cover, but Breakker kept it locked in until Punk countered back into Anaconda Vice. Breakker simply powered out. He went face to face with Punk until he lifted him onto his own shoulders for a gutbuster, followed by a Steiner line. He mocked the GTS pose, but Punk countered his own finisher into an STFU. Braun got a rope break. Punk locked it back in, but allowed Heyman to distract him for a second time in a championship match. He punched Heyman off the apron, then avoided a Breakker spear. Braun flew out of the ring. Punk tried a tope suicida. Breakker clubbed him in the head for a face plant. Braun planned a apron clothesline. Instead, he climbed to the top rope for something, a combination elbow drop, splash, all the way through and across the announce table. Breakker dragged the champion back inside, but when he took extra time to do a rope run spear, Punk intercepted him with a pump knee and hit GTS to retain the title in approximately 27 minutes. And I will note, because I saw that little knee to the spear, I actually watched the WrestleMania 41 Triple Threat after Raw, and Punk did the exact same thing to Roman Reigns in the finish of that match. So I just wanted to parallel those two. The age and fitness differential made this really difficult for both guys as a match. That's no shade on Punk. Breakker is 19 years younger than him and at peak conditioning. Asking Punk to go nearly 30 minutes with a guy his athletic superior at age 47, that is a tall task. He did remarkably well in that context. The result was a match that was purposefully slow early. It allowed Punk to rest as Breakker exerted dominance. Then the botch came just as business was picking up, so that got delayed. However, once the interference picked up its pace, these guys rolled hard all the way to the finish. And do you know why? Because the finish didn't come for another 7 to 10 minutes. As I have said many, many times here on the show, that makes all the difference, not finishing after the interference. Breakker flashed offense he has not used before. He looked every bit game to be in a world title match. Punk sold his ass off, not just taking moves, the looks of astonishment when Braun just decided he was tired of being in an Anaconda Vice, or Breakker kicking out of any one of his finishers or signatures, bringing in the STFU for John Cena. That was smart. When Breakker got the armbar in the second time, and when he hit the huge splash outside both times, I thought he was winning the title. And I found myself excited at that prospect. Even though Punk left as champion, they protected the spear. They never had Breakker land it once on him. Commentary sold all match how Punk had to avoid it, and he did. Plus, Breakker required 2 GTS, 2 elbow drops, and 2 attempted submissions just to lose clean to a guy whose moniker is literally the best in the world. You clean up that Frankensteiner botch and a slightly scary tope. You cut 5 minutes off the front of the match so the pace is quicker, and you're looking at a top-level A match here. I can't go higher than 4.25 stars A. The grade's irrelevant. The storytelling and match structure was classic. Dominance, desperation, youth versus experience, Punk knowing the spear was coming, countering it with his last gasp of energy. This accomplished so much for Punk and Breakker. It was easily the best part of an otherwise frustrating episode of Raw. I believe last week I said something like they weren't going to change the title here, but this was going to be the test Breakker needed to pass to become world champion in 2026. Well, this was booked perfectly, and Braun passed that test with flying colors.
Yep, I agree with everything you said there. Very well done across the board. It accomplished everything you wanted on both sides. Braun looks like the physically stronger and more impressive person, but he gets outsmarted because he can't get the spear in.
Mm-hmm.
That all worked well. I never thought Braun was going to win. My brother was really upset that he didn't. I was like, I didn't think he would. Braun's not ready. The vision's not ready.
Correct.
But this was still a step forward for him. For, like you said, it took a lot of things to keep him down. And this is how you elevate somebody in defeat. And I like that it wasn't a distraction leads to the finish type of thing. They let these two guys finish it, which is how it should be. You can have a definitive winner and also elevate the guy who loses. And that was what was accomplished here. Yeah. I think the CM Punk title reign as a whole remains largely kind of lacking juice, but it only happened because Seth got hurt. And that's what it was. I still think LA Knight should have won the title at the time, but we don't need to go back into all of that. They did what they needed to do here. It was good stuff.
Here's what I'll say. They weren't planning to change the title when they did, as you mentioned. But then they had to build to Survivor Series War Games, which he was not defending the title. And then they created this storyline on the back of that show. This started in the main event of Survivor Series War Games. So while you're right that the title reign did not have juice, over the last month into this match and coming out of it, it has juice now. Like this is a real title reign now.
Yes, the promo battles between the promos and then the promo battle, I thought all were really good the last couple of weeks.
Right. Like this feels like, wow, CM Punk is world champion and it's not just temporary and they're going to run with this. And it's working. Like this made it work. Breakker got put over here. Punk, him able to go with him. Again, was Punk the weaker side simply because of his endurance level and his age and all that? Yeah. But the fact that he was able to go to this degree with a guy like Breakker, especially over the latter 2/3 of that match, super impressive. And overall, this was successful. It was, like I said, it was the best part of Raw. It was a really, really, really strong main event. Not as good as, I would have wanted if it was main eventing SummerSlam or something like that. But for a TV main event, and in terms of a finish, the way it was booked, the pacing, the storytelling throughout the entire match, I just thought they knocked it out of the park. And I did get two comments. Brett at BZ Not Cheesy, some Z's involved in there. They did the interference like you always said they should by not going right to the finish. And wow, that was way better. Each near fall felt even bigger and really pulled me in. And then Bernardo Figueiredo at BF1 Giardo. A wise man always asks for 5+ minutes of wrestling after an interference spot. Sometimes, Chris, I feel like I actually know what I'm talking about. This match, the way it finished with the interference and everything that came after it, I was like, all right, yeah, there's a reason we do this podcast. I felt very justified in that moment.
Very much.
All right. Well, as we mentioned, Raw on Netflix, not the best first episode of the year potentially, but whether it is Raw, SmackDown, NXT, or premium live events, all of which are available on Netflix internationally, I am all in with NordVPN. It's easy to set up. It's a drastically better viewing experience. You not only get high quality streams, you get the commercial-free shows, and you see all the content that we would otherwise miss here in the United States. All you have to do is sign up at nordvpn.com/gettingover, open the app, quick connect to another country like Canada or the United Kingdom. I use the UK, open Netflix, and watch this show. NordVPN also lets you get around online censorship and surveillance. It protects your private data, and one account can be used on 10 different devices. Get the best discount for the best VPN from nordvpn.com/gettingover. Our link will give you 4 extra free months off the 2-year plan, and there is no risk. Nord has a 30-day money-back guarantee. Try it out. If you don't like it, if you have problems, cancel, but give it a shot. It is so inexpensive, and it's making Raw and all these premium live events and SmackDown and NXT as well, all of them, the viewing experience is better. So improve your WWE viewing, save money, browse safer online, get the best discount for the best VPN. NordVPN.com/gettingover. We are so thrilled that NordVPN is remaining our official singular sponsor here into 2026. Chris, we're out of the main event. We covered the big items from Raw and SmackDown, but we have an absolute ton still to cover here on the Getting Over Wrestling podcast. And we're going to do it, as always, with the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Hey, yo. Survey says one more for the good guy.
Say hello to the back.
Don't sing it. Bring it.
Rio, Alexa Bliss, and Charlotte Flair fought the Kabuki Warriors, Nia Jax, and Lash Legend on SmackDown. The heels backstage basically agreed to fight for the titles, assuming the Warriors would retain on Raw. The heel pairs were the only ones with matching gear. Flair hit natural selection and a moonsault on Jax after a hot tag. Nia landed a leg drop after Charlotte lost grip on a slingshot move. Kairi Sane broke a figure 8 on Asuka with an insane elbow. Io got the hot tag, proved herself to be a completely different caliber of performer immediately, as she always does. Nia pulled Rhea off the ropes, throwing her into the barricade as Lash tagged in blind, catching Io with an anti-air pump boot to the face. Easily the spot of the match, may have been the spot of the show.
Yeah.
Ripley ran through everyone on the third hot tag. Sane was able to escape Riptide via distraction. Bliss took out Asuka with Sister Abigail DDT. Rhea then caught Kairi trying an insane elbow, headbutting her while in her arms, hitting Riptide, and Sky added over the moonsault for the win. Ripley and Sky, they were excited about becoming champions together in an interview later backstage. Bliss and Flair interrupted, wishing them good luck, even though Rhea assumed their intentions were nefarious, wanting a title match after the fact, and Charlotte proved her to be correct. And it was actually kind of a cute segment between all four of them. Super fun match, got to showcase the women's division. The faces winning here with the number one contenders getting the fall. That led me to believe the Warriors would retain on Raw, considering they just took another L. It was nice to see Lash get back to looking strong and dominant. She had a big hiccup last week, you'll remember. I'm loving that Io is still crazy over entering 2026. This was good.
It was good, enjoyable. Concerns coming out of it, which play into the next match, but this was good.
Women's Tag Team Championship. Kabuki Warriors defending against Rio. The challenger's entrance frustrated me because Io didn't get her music. The camera focused entirely on Ripley when she did her emote. It basically told us that someone who was arguably the best wrestler, period, forget women's wrestler, the best wrestler of 2025, was secondary to Rhea when they came out to the ring. Not having a combined theme at this point on its own is ridiculous, but I digress.
That's the problem. I don't like tag teams coming out to two themes, so I preferred this to what they were doing, but they should have their own theme.
One theme, a tag team name. It's really not that difficult. You're a multi-billion-dollar company obsessed with branding. Why can't you do these things? Merge the themes together. I'm sure it's possible. This opened the show. It went to commercial after 30 seconds. So the first 6 minutes of Raw were promotion for Stranger Things. And then 6 of the first 11 minutes of this match occurred during commercials. So basically, advertising or promotion took up 12 of the first 20 minutes of Raw. The first Raw of the year, unopposed with the NFL. This is what I was talking about earlier. Corey Graves shouted out Hiroshi Tanahashi's retirement. We'll talk more about that on Thursday's show. Io did a sling blade after Rhea caught Kairi for a fall-away slam. Sane came back with double knees to Sky's back as she was hanging on the top rope. Io later countered a pinning combination with double knees to Kairi's gut. Ripley spiked Sane with a razor's edge before Sky drilled her with a missile dropkick for a great 2.9 falls finish. Riptide followed. Asuka shoved Rhea into Io, knocking her off the top rope. Asuka worked Ripley over really hard before a tandem insane elbow broken fall. Io landed Bullet Train into the ropes. Asuka ate Riptide and over the moonsault to follow that. Sky then paused, took out Sane with the Tope Suicida, and Ripley covered Asuka to win the titles. Michael Cole said, quote, "I told you stranger things were going to happen tonight." What was strange or weird here, Michael? Please tell me. The two of the most dominant women in the company won the tag team titles. What was strange about that? There was something off about this match I could not put my finger on. All four of them wrestled well. The sequences worked up until Rhea didn't cover Asuka immediately after over the moonsault for no discernible reason. The Brooklyn crowd just seemed out of it. Brooklyn, of all places, a great WWE crowd nearly every single time out. I mentioned this earlier. They were just not as energized from the start of the show due to all the Stranger Things promotion. And while they got up for sequences in the match, they weren't really on the edge of their seats like they should have been, and they have been for pretty much every other time these women fight. They're all really popular. Beyond that, as I said last week, this was not the spot for Rio to win the titles. It didn't make a shred of sense time-wise. nor did it play with Io's injured back. That was an easy out. They just could not have won the straps. Oh, she hurt her back. She got pinned. When she gets healthier, they win the titles. 3.75 stars B+. It was good. The work was solid. It was way below my expectations for these four. I thought this could have been a high-level A match or even better than that.
Yeah, fine match. I was not surprised that Rhea and Io won. I think we probably both picked that to happen because of what the show was, but it felt like it was just like, all right, give them something to cheer. Rhea, Io are the tag team champions because you've mentioned it, but
that's what
the Kabukis did as champions, maybe one of the worst championship reigns in the history of pro wrestling. Like,
absolutely.
Like they lost the non-title match. They went 1-6 in singles matches.
Let me interrupt you because you're reading my stats, but I did the work here. So they held the women's tag team championships for 56 days, and they lost them in their first defense. That's bad enough, right? But in those 56 days, they went 1-3 as singles and 0-3 together. They lost War Games, the 8-woman match on Friday, and then they lost to Nia Jackson, Lash Legend, in a non-title match 2 weeks ago for no reason whatsoever. So they won the titles on November 10th. They went 1-6 in matches they wrestled, and then they dropped them immediately to the people they were terrorizing in a long-term feud. The best feud that WWE had for months on television. The first time they fight for the titles, they lose them. There's no segment to grade, but this was a trash reign, to your point, and a pair of women who were literal villains, Chris, wound up as shrugs in the end.
Yep. So that ultimately, I think, hurts everybody involved, frankly, all to just kind of give something to cheer, which is Rhea and Io winning titles. They never really finished that off, and don't love that. This was good. The match was solid enough and everything, but not all of this was not what it could have been.
That's exactly the point. They booked this so that Rhea and Io could win the titles on this show, and fans would cheer because a babyface won, their favorites, and it didn't have the storyline context or relevance that it deserved, given the months of storytelling that came before it.
Yep.
They basically just said, screw it, we'll change the title on the show to get a pop. And WWE does this every single year around New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. They just change a bunch of titles. And sometimes it's fine. Carmelo Hayes was great. Other times it just feels like they do it just to do it. And that's what this was. And it's just really unfortunate. Intercontinental Championship, Maxine Dupree defending against Becky Lynch. Corrupt Carr was not the referee for what it's worth. Dupree had more normal plain white gear. That was an improvement, but it did not fit the dark aesthetic of her vignettes. It was the opposite, in fact. She still came out to the ridiculous American Alpha theme, too. She did an extremely strange, gory style move where she sat down and nothing happened. Commentary was even dumbfounded. Lynch broke an ankle lock with the ropes. When she failed trying an avalanche stomp, they alternated ankle lock and disarm her. Maxine failed to fly through the ropes on an escape as she was supposed to. She caught Becky with a German suplex and a flying crossbody for a surprise 2.9, then clumsily rolled through a powerbomb into an ankle lock. As that continued near the ropes, Dupree wound up flat on her back, so Lynch slowly bent backwards and grabbed the rope for leverage, completely hidden from the referee, to regain the title in 12 minutes. This was a dreadful match with a smart finish. Maxine looked like a woman who spent the holidays getting married and celebrating her nuptials rather than staying on her wrestling game. And there's no shame in that. I'm happy she found love and she got to enjoy her time off and get married. But boy, oh boy, did it show in this match. Her working the house show circuit in Florida was clearly paying off when she got on TV. In this match, she looked like someone who hadn't wrestled in a year. We put her over for improving so much and doing all the extra work just last week, but she was straight bad here, even with Becky's help. The saving grace was a finish that kept her strong, didn't waste the initial change, and it had Lynch looking extremely smart. She did a perfect leverage play. The referee could never see it. So the grading here is going to be separate. The segment and the match was bad. Flat out bad, no question about it. Close to ugly, in fact. But the booking of putting the title back on Becky and doing it in a solid way, which I was praying happened, that gets a like good. That's a positive development in a bad segment.
Yeah, I'm giving it a bad one. By the way, Maxine holding her wedding on New Year's might be like a sneaky great move, just from like wedding planning standpoint.
Oh, I hate it. I hate it.
But like you people, I mean, outside of like football and if you're working or whatever, but like it's a time when everyone's looking for some party to go to. You're often in town or something. I think it's actually an interesting.
Now your
idea.
anniversary is 12/31 or 1/1, whatever you want to consider it, and you're wasting a separate celebration day. Like, I would never want to get. I'm sorry, I know there's thousands of people who listen to the show, and I don't know, Chris, when you got married, but I wouldn't want my wedding date to be Valentine's Day, and I wouldn't think my wife would either. I think she would want Valentine's Day, and then she would want our anniversary date.
Depends on the person. In terms of like, it's a good time to hold a party. Basically,
and it is a good time to hold a party.
It's interesting. Anyway, the match was slow and sloppy. When Becky's got the pin, like Maxine could have kicked out. It kind of made her look,
I know,
not smart for not doing that. Like it happens all the time. You got a submission in, you're getting pinned, you have to let it go to know to kick out. She just held it there and watched them count 1, 2, 3 right next to her and didn't kick out. That's a miss by her, whether that's in character or not.
I presume that she was supposed to be positioned somewhat differently than just laying on her back, looking at the referee count and not kicking out. I presume because the whole match was messed up and everything she did was wrong, that I looked at it and I said, oh yeah, this whole thing was botched. And
yeah, ultimately tough. I do think Maxine has been elevated through all of this, but now it's back on Becky. Let's make this title.
Well, they elevated her and then she wasted it here. That's kind of how I felt. It's like she was making progress and every match was better than the prior match, or some of them were better than the prior matches. And then you get the big moment with Becky, and you just put your worst performance in what?
Yeah, but I mean,
3
like
months?
that's not. She is elevated in kayfabe.
She's elevated in the eyes of the viewer. Yes.
Yeah. That's all I meant. Yes.
I know. I was just explaining. Like, she had this huge moment, and it felt to me like she wasted it. This was like, if you want to say a sink or swim, she sank in this match. Straight up sank.
Oh, in this match, yes.
Yeah.
On the whole, there was good and bad.
There was good and bad
along the way, but this match, yes.
Agreed. The Miz interrupted the opening of SmackDown from out of the crowd, wanting to air his grievances from 2025 like it was Festivus or something. Miz was angry about not getting closure with John Cena, young superstars not respecting him or listening to his advice. He did not mention Carmelo Hayes by name. Getting passed over for Marty Supreme, so he could mention Timothy Chalamet, I guess, and Joe Hendry bringing back Tiny Balls. He said he was the new face of WWE, the locker room leader, and the gateway for the company, someone who actually won championships, unlike Buffalo.
Well, they're really bad guys now because they cut down the city's sports team. That's what you do when you're a bad guy.
Figured a young guy would interrupt, but instead it was Orton returning in a personalized Sabres shirt. Orton did a funny bit faking an RKO as he entered. Miz didn't want the smoke, so he included Orton as sharing the top of the pyramid with him. Orton obviously RKO'd him, then obliged the fans with a second one, and that was the entire segment. I did not have Miz opening SmackDown on my bingo card, but Dude reminded that he has still got the best work, among the best work, in the business on the mic in his bag. What a promo. Such a natural heel. Got so much heat even before the cheap sports line. Orton literally said nothing except Happy New Year before the second RKO. At this point, we were 16 minutes into SmackDown with absolutely nothing having happened of storyline relevance. If it was anyone else but Orton, I'd probably have gone another way, but he's a big enough return to carry a no story opening. Off mic, he said, quote, "I'm going to work my ass off this year," which really would have been great to hear on mic as a reason for this happening. Like, he's making an exclamation and then he's going to follow through with it. I'm giving it a good because it was entertaining. But again, I really wish there was more meat on the bone here.
Yeah, I'll give it the lightest possible good because, like, Miz is incredibly talented. But there are times when he's just kind of repeating the same thing he's always said, and he's only saying it so someone will then interrupt him, and so you don't buy into it because he hasn't been built up in a spot. There are times when he does get built up, and you do believe it. This was not one of those times. And then Randy Orton, like, what? Like, this is the way you bring back Orton? It's been, what, a few months? When's the last time we saw him?
Long time ago.
Yeah, like, he wasn't at the Cena retirement. Like, we haven't seen him in a while. And I don't want to say every time somebody comes back, you need to make it a moment. But, like, what was the point of this?
Well, I would argue, if I'm gonna be devil's advocate a little bit, I would argue that the first SmackDown of the year, surprise return to open the show, good enough moment. He was gone for 2 months. It's not like he was gone for 6.
Would it have
3
been
months?
better?
Sorry, he was gone for 3 months. 3 months.
But would it have been then better to open with Randy?
No, because this was it was the unexpected. Him showing up was unexpected.
Well, it was going to be unexpected if you open the show with him. If we start the show and boom, Randy Orton's music, you're like, whoa. And then he gives a basic promo explaining, I'm back. I want
it would have been fine. For me, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other is what I'll say.
Sure.
Adam Pearce backstage told Gunther there were a ton of eyes on him, given it was the anniversary of Raw on Netflix. But since there's a lot of people out there who feel he's been disrespectful, he should mix some respect into his forthcoming promo. Gunther said he's the one who deserves respect for making John Cena tap out. AJ Styles predictably interrupted before Gunther could say bitch, but Gunther wouldn't let him get a word out, saying he's the best wrestler in the company, even better than Styles. When Gunther did "You Can't See Me Again" right in his face, Styles smacked him straight across the grill.
What is the 5 fingers say to the face? What? Slap!
And then they literally went head to head, forehead to forehead, before Styles chided him for doing nothing about it and left the ring. Gunther backstage demanded to Pearce that he fight Styles. AJ immediately got between them, and a match was made for next week because Raw is taking place in Germany. So AJ, Gunther for the first time ever in Germany. That's pretty cool. The fire that Styles showed here saved the segment. The rest of it, though, dragged. Gunther doing the same shtick for 2 weeks, for me, was perfectly fine. You were annoyed with it a bit in week 2, but it still worked for me. We're now 4 Raws after Cena's retirement, and nothing exciting has happened, including this. If Styles had not stared him down twice, then perhaps AJ coming out here would have been a moment that elicited a huge pop because it would have been unexpected. Instead, it was entirely telegraphed. And Gunther himself looked like a little bitch getting slapped and not fighting back. However, that was consistent with his character because I believe the same thing happened with Jimmy Uso last year. When Gunther and Jay were feuding, Jimmy smacked him across the face. He didn't do anything about it. He decided to take it out on Jay. And you'll remember he absolutely destroyed him. So maybe that's what happens this Monday. But this is completely stuck in the mud with Gunther. It is inexcusable for them to have not already capitalized in a more significant way after 4 weeks. I saw a lot of folks felt otherwise. They loved this segment. For me, it gets a bad.
This is an ugly. This is a 0.0.
0.0.
0.0, Mr. Blutarski.
That is one big pile of shit.
What in the ever-loving F is this? Like, on so many fronts. Like, he gets booed backstage when he shows up, which is good, but by the time he's walking out to the crowd, the boos have stopped.
Mm-hmm.
And is it really the only thing we have for Gunther is he called John Cena a bitch, and now we're going to put it on some t-shirt? Like, it's so... How bad is it that the number one thing people want to chant at Gunther is that he tapped out against Jey Uso?
Yep.
Like, we nothing from Cena has carried over. Then he says pretty much nothing, and then he gets slapped and does nothing. He looks like a loser.
Yep.
I don't care if Jimmy Uso did it last year or some crap. Nobody remembers that. I don't remember that.
I remember it.
I am this close to declare this already dead and say that they have completely blown it. Now, it's not dead because have him win the Royal Rumble, beat Cody, something. There's still room here. But holy crap, everything I was worried about from that first Raw after the Cena match has come true. They have done nothing. He looks weaker now than he ever has.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Ever.
No.
Like,
no.
He's only lost like 3 matches. So
He looked way, way weaker tapping out to Jay, which again is carrying over to him now, which makes that booking even worse in retrospect. We knew it was bad then. It looks even worse in retrospect because you're right. They're chanting, "You tapped out," when the whole thing he's bragging about is tapping out John Cena. Which is why you
leaning into the tap like a bitch thing is not the thing to do.
Not, by the way, it's 9 months after that happened at WrestleMania. Like,
if
they're
you just
still
talk
chanting
about
it.
Cena tapping out, then it just makes people remember when you tapped out.
Right.
He should be terrifying. Everybody should be scared of him and the reign of terror he is about to have over WWE. Instead, he's trying to act like a cartoon character, and nobody's taking him that seriously, including AJ Styles now. And like, holy crap,
Well,
man.
I would say
we're more like, also, by the way, this was your big first episode of the year on Raw, and he shows up like in the middle of it, Like, he's not the focus of the show. And that's the problem. He should have been from the moment he beat John Cena. We're over an hour into this show and we haven't talked about him. That's how unimportant he is on the show. And I cannot believe that.
Yeah. The fact that we're talking about him so late is purposeful because this is the level of importance that it held. And it should be much, much higher than that. I disagree with people thinking that he's weak. AJ Styles doesn't think he's weak. He believes he's strong. He's angry at him. And that's why he came out and did what he did. So I don't agree with that part, but there's no question that they have wasted the momentum here. That's the issue. It's the waste of momentum.
And then him going and complaining to Pierce backstage about it. Like,
well, he demanded a match. He didn't complain.
Why is Gunther doing that though? Like he's stooping to low levels of like just everyday wrestlers when he's supposed to be different. Have him approach Pierce in some other way, or Pierce announces that like having him just go back and complain about getting slapped looks like a child.
Everything he did the first week was pitch perfect. Okay. It was exactly what he needed to do.
Mostly.
The first week was pitch perfect. The second week was repetitive, but it elicited the same reaction. You disliked it. I was okay with it because it elicited the same reaction. Once you do that twice, you're done. Like, you have to move forward. And having him, did he fight Otis? Like, who? I forgot.
Was it Truth?
R-Truth.
Yeah.
You have him fight R-Truth. And that was the backstage segment was terrible because R-Truth, Ron Killings, who's driving now, couldn't say the word shit. So you have a botched backstage segment that looks like crap. They go in the ring, they do absolutely nothing. And now you're doing this. And you're right from the standpoint of, again, those first 2 weeks, him mocking you with "you can't see me," laughing like a movie villain. I can stomach it for 2 weeks. Like, it worked. The fans were buying it. Cool. Still doing that now, rather than just being a badass, walking around backstage with your shoulders back, your head held high. Someone comes to like give you a bad look, you smack him across the face. You keep walking.
Yeah.
Adam Pearce goes, "You can't do that." Why can't I do that? I'm the one who submitted John Cena. I made his bitch ass tap out. That's the verbiage you need to be using, not John Cena tapped like a bitch. Now, I made his bitch ass tap out, and I'm going to do it to anyone else who steps up to me, including CM Punk and Cody Rhodes. Like, that is the type of character this guy should be. I don't understand what the hell they're doing. How do you not capitalize on this?
This should have been from the moment he tapped out Cena the next day, the next show. People think the coming out and booing is fine, whatever. He should have come out and laid down his mission statement and said, "I am taking over this company now.
Absolutely.
I've had a weird year. This is mine. Everybody better fear me. I'm coming for you." And then just wreck shop.
Yep.
And you're like, whoa, you don't want to get in front of this guy. And you're scared of him and you boo him and all these things. And instead, we've turned it into just a cartoon catchphrase.
You all called this guy the greatest of all time. I put him down like a bitch, and I'm going to do it to all the rest of your favorites and everyone else who holds gold in this company.
Like,
that's it.
If Gunther beating Cena was supposed to be, let's assume, supposed to be the start of him getting to the top of the company, like, where is that promo moment? You're Austin 316. You're Triple H. I am the game. You're like your declarative.
The go home promo from him was really strong.
It was. But
we're forgetting about it now because that's the past.
It was about Cena though. Like,
it was about Cena.
Take that to like right. Take that. Where is he trying to go now?
Where's that guy? We want that guy cutting a promo just like that about the future.
Yeah.
That's
like,
all we're saying.
What is his goal? What is he trying to do? Okay, he beat Cena. Now what? He's just here to gloat about it? No, like, what is he trying to do? I'm going to take this and become the face of the company. I'm going to take control. Like, where is any of that? There's nothing. We don't know why there's no purpose for what he's doing. He's just kind of being a jerk. And that's not the aura you want.
Right.
After something
You're
like
right.
this.
He's being a jerk. And it's like, no, you're a dominant wrestler, a badass, not a jerk. There's a lot of jerks. The Miz is
like,
a jerk.
Imagine if Brock Lesnar did Suplex City and then the next show was just like laughing and talking about how he made like no.
I love the word that you use though when you called him a jerk. Like Logan Paul is a jerk.
Yeah.
Gunther should not be a jerk. You want to do it once? Gloat. You want to do it twice because it worked? Okay. We're now two more weeks past it. And we should be foaming at the mouth excited for Gunther AJ Styles next week. I should not be able to contain. I should be saying, Chris, this is going to be a match of the year contender. I can't believe Gunther's going to fight AJ Styles in Germany. This is going to be awesome. And instead, we're complaining about it. Rightfully so.
So what you do is you have him beat AJ Styles. You have maybe you have AJ Styles tap or something. Tap to the STF. I don't know. And then the next show.
Correct.
Give me I'm declaring 2026 the year of Gunther. I'm going to win. Even John Cena did it last year when he lost the Rumble, and he cuts that thing at the press conference. Like, all right, like he set the table for what his year is.
It works for both of them, because if you have Gunther put down Styles definitively, right, then Gunther gets to say, I just beat the guy who you all claim is the best wrestler in this company, and then everything that you just said. And you have Styles, who knows he's retiring in 2026. He starts questioning himself. Is this rock bottom? And then maybe his last match, I'm not saying it should be him beating Gunther, but maybe it is. Or maybe it's him summiting some mountain where he goes from rock bottom to the top of the company again, and then he's able to go out, the way he wants. So it would actually work for both guys to have Gunther. I'm not saying squash him, but like a 12 to 14 minute match where Gunther wins definitively.
Yeah.
If you do that and you tell the story with Styles and you get Gunther back on track, I think you and I, Chris, will clearly be singing a different tune next week.
Yeah.
But you gotta do it.
You can make this right. Like, I'm assuming they have, like, is he the favorite to win the Rumble? Probably, right?
I don't really look at the odds and stuff. I would say...
No, I don't either. But, like, it feels like it would make sense. He was the runner-up to Cody. It feels like if you're going to start building him off of this, that's what you would do. So, like...
I don't know.
I have to imagine they have some plans. I just can't believe what they've done so far.
It's really frustrating. I mean, I didn't even think we'd talk about it this long, but deservingly so.
Oh, I almost texted you during Raw, capital ugly, but I wanted to just save it.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you did, because it was a good conversation. All right, we got a lot more to talk about still. Stephanie Vaquer hit the ring with a hard boot on her left ankle. Commentary explaining she injured it in the triple threat defense last week, but it's nothing serious. Vaquer teared up, discussing her incredible 2025 and dream of winning the WWE Women's Championship, World Championship in this case. Then she spoke extensively in Spanish before pointing to the boot, saying it will not stop her, and she wants to take on all comers and prove she's the best women's wrestler on the planet. Her music played, and it looked like she was just going to go backstage, interview segment over. Instead, Raquel Rodriguez attacked from behind and absolutely destroyed her ankle, flinging it multiple times into the canvas before flattening Stephanie with a Tejana bomb. Then she grabbed a chair, wrapped it around the booted ankle, at which point I thought, that's not really going to do anything, but okay, fair enough. Pierce ran in, put a stop to it. During the ensuing break, Vaquer needed the help of two trainers to limp her way all the way to the back. And then after the break, Vaquer was still selling backstage when Rodriguez attacked her again, throwing her into a road case. We heard that very funny sound of a pipe falling in the background. And then she stomped on Stephanie's ankle with her own foot until Pierce threatened to fine Raquel until she had nothing left in her account. This started as most Vaquer segments do, but it kept getting better and better as it progressed. She was allowed to speak extensively. She sounded really confident. She was given time in her native language. I was ready to put it over just for that. Then we get a vicious attack by Rodriguez, showed deviance that her character just has not expressed on the main roster. She carried herself like a main eventer, and giving Stephanie a potential out creates intrigue for a title match that I expected would come last week when Raquel's finisher won that match. But Rodriguez, of course, did not get the pin, nor did she get pinned. The second attack backstage just hammered it home. This was my favorite part of the first 90 minutes of Raw and my second favorite part of the entire episode. This was good.
It was good. And your point about the confidence, it's something I've kind of harped on a bit. Got better as it went on. And she sounded a lot more confident in Spanish than sometimes she has before. It was like, all right, she's hurt, but I guess not for a while. We're kind of in this weird spot where we have to announce whether or not we're relinquishing titles because of injuries.
Right.
Dominic Mysterio was also hurt. Seth got hurt. So I assume it's not going to be that long, if that. And then Raquel attack. I love the follow-up too, because this is a storyline that basically is all about attacking somebody from behind. Nikki attacks Stephanie Vaquer. Raquel attacks somebody. Nikki attack Raquel. It's kind of the whole thing. And so it is a little bit repetitive, but it also kind of fits with the theme of it, I guess, to that point. And so I'm interested in it. Kind of wondering, like, if it's time to make a change. Is Raquel ready? Maybe we'll talk. She's up for some awards in the meaties that we'll get into later. But that was interesting. My only negative on this was after the backstage attack, this sadistic thing happens. We transition into commentary reading a Stranger Things DoorDash ad, which is always my complaint, which is like when something serious happens, just go to commercial or have commentary sell it more.
Yeah.
And instead it's just like, all right, we're moving on.
Corey,
that always, it always leaves a bad taste in my mouth of what was a good beatdown.
Corey, we have this like promo to read here, but I got to tell you, man, I'm really concerned for Stephanie after that. Like, that's all you have to say. And then, Stranger Things, DoorDash, Netflix, you do your thing after that. But you're 100% right. I got to tell you, man, some thoughts started percolating in my head coming out of this segment. A couple weeks ago on this show, I think we had a conversation about how well Rodriguez has been rehabilitated, how good of a job she's done improving over the second half of 2025, and how she may never be a women's world champion in WWE, but she could definitely be a dominant intercontinental championship holder. That was the conversation we had. Let's put a pin in that because we have another segment to discuss, and then we'll come back to it. Lyra Valkyria fought Liv Morgan. This was Liv's first TV match in more than 6 months. Fans chanted Y2J during the break, so Morgan crotch chopped them because it was disrespectful. Rightfully so, good for her. It happened during Becky's match as well. Lyra caught Liv on the ropes for a German suplex, adding a tornado DDT and fisherman suplex while retaining neck control. Morgan then countered Nightwing into a lung blower in the move of the night to that point. Roxanne Perez pulled the rope down to jettison Valkyria out of the ring. When Bayley went after her, Roxy caught her with a right, threw her over the barricade. That set Bayley off en route to a chase with a chair. As Lyra recovered and got distracted by Bayley running, Liv caught her with Oblivion for the win. A bit of a convoluted finish, a real nice match between them. Necessary win to legitimize Morgan again. She was limping a bit after the bell. Hopefully she's okay. Could you imagine her being injured all that time, coming back, getting injured again? Holy crap. Should be a nice tag team feud coming up here and maybe more on the back end. This was good.
Definite good. Good to see Liv back and working again. Just real solid. Good stuff.
Following these segments on Monday night, all I could picture was Liv winning the Royal Rumble and challenging a new champion, Raquel, at WrestleMania. They have already bristled backstage, and now the setup is there to make the change with the title with Stephanie and build the match. I'm not sure what Vaquer would do at WrestleMania if that's how it transpires. Maybe they could do a triple threat. But with Io and Rhea seemingly occupied and Bianca Belair still not back, you'll remember we thought it was going to be Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair at WrestleMania. We were finally going to get the dream match. It really is starting to feel like Liv Raquel at WrestleMania is a legitimate possibility along the lines of Alexa Bliss and Nia Jax, but obviously more talented in both cases.
You know what it is? It's Diesel Shawn
Michaels, right? Yeah,
because we've made that comparison before about Raquel either with Liv or with Roxanne. It's kind of like the Diesel HBK thing, and we know that Raquel has gotten better since she talked with Kevin Nash or whatever about how to work as a big person, and it'd be a perfectly fit storyline. And in turning Liv face, it feels like it's time.
It is,
in that they're cheering her anyway. She's come back from injury. You'll have to do some sort of breakup with Dom along the way. And maybe that's the official face turn for her. But setting that, I can 100% see that. Liv wins the Rumble. Raquel gets surprised when she chooses Raquel. And I think that would be great.
And Raquel does the whole, obviously you're not going to choose me. You could never beat me anyway, type of thing. And then she's like, what did you just say? What are you talking about?
Yep.
And don't forget, it plays into the whole, Liv has finished, I want to say, second at 2 Royal Rumbles and a Battle Royal and maybe an Elimination Chamber. She's always the runner-up. Always the runner-up.
And you make that the story, and that becomes part of people getting behind her.
Exactly. Yep. It fits perfectly. I could see Rodriguez beating Vaquer for the title at Saturday night's main event the week before the Royal Rumble. Then Liv wins the Royal Rumble. And the next night on Raw, they have their moment where, well, clearly you're not going to choose me. And then you wait, 4 weeks and some stuff happens backstage and then she chooses her.
It should all happen at the Rumble. I don't like having the Saturday night's main event.
I would prefer it happen at the Rumble. I'm just saying what I could see. But, don't forget,
that makes sense.
Don't forget there are 4 matches usually on the Royal Rumble card. So both men's and women's, and then 2 others. So maybe it will be the Royal Rumble. I was just kind of pontificating.
Probably not. It's a perfect Saturday night's main event type of thing.
It really is, if we're being honest. Sami Zayn made his return to open hour 2 of SmackDown with his beard trimmed and his hair tied back. He looked great, and many of you will remember we've been asking him to clean up for 2 years now. Anyway,
and we said that should be part of the story.
We did, yeah. Get serious.
Like he doesn't look like a champion type of thing.
Exactly.
Like the Daniel Bryan back in the day.
Anyway, Zayn put over watching John Cena's last match as a fan. Clearly, he was in the crowd. He said he could not explain to his son how, unlike Cena's 17 world titles, Sami has never won the World Heavyweight Championship, despite regularly fighting people who hold those titles and bringing home other belts. Zayn said talking about winning a world title has made him sick, so now he's done talking. He's doing it. As he got crazy hype, Trick Williams interrupted with the entire crowd chanting during and after his entrance. Trick put himself over in expert-level fashion, ready to bring flavor to SmackDown. Williams said he doesn't just talk and look the part, he's a future world champion, and it won't take him 20 years to do it. He's not a guy who almost gets the job done. Zayn put him over as having all the tools, but he said Trick's never been humbled. There's plenty of guys who look good and have had the same shit talk, and they never make anything of it. Perfect segment, double good for Sami and Trick. Zayn's promo was completely on point, exactly what we've been talking about on this show for 6 to 9 months. This had me believing again that he would win the Royal Rumble and fight McIntyre for the title at WrestleMania. You all know I've been talking about that for the better part of a year. Utilizing his son and the Cena show as his motivation was a really smart way to tie everything together. Trick was similarly nails in his first main roster featured spot. He flashed the same confidence and charisma we saw in NXT. It was clear the stage was not too big for him. Great to see him being completely over right away. Massive, massive pop for the young buck. Tons of aura. Basically impossible to ask either of these guys to have done better. Perfection achieved.
Yeah, the Sami pointing to his kid thing, that was a great anecdote that sets the foundation of the entire motivation. Like, you got it all right there. Everybody can understand that and relate to it and sympathize with him. That my son thinks John Cena is better than me. And not in a heel way for Cena, but like, that's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And then Trick, we've seen it a couple times now, like these NXT people coming up and the fans know the chants during the entrance. And that is huge in a way. Like Obafemi, we saw that too, in a way that I wouldn't have expected, because like you would get this in the old original NXT Black and Gold days when the indie darlings would be big on NXT,
right,
and then they'd come up and you have all the smart fans who have been following them forever. This is not that fan base anymore at WWE shows, but for all these people to still know, to still understand and watch and know the chants of the NXT people, the people who came to wrestling from college athletics or something else and don't have that long history, that's a great sign for NXT.
It reminded of the Sami Zayn debut, the Kevin Owens debut, Shinsuke Nakamura, Finn Balor, and those are all way bigger names historically than Trick Williams. But you see the reaction to Trick and Oba, and you're like, when they get it right, they get it right. Same with Stephanie Vaquer. When they get it right, they get it right. And that's why it's so frustrating that Julia kind of got rushed up. Other people get rushed up, and you're like Kiana James, you're like, why is she there? She hasn't accomplished anything. People don't like her. So it's really, really odd. But with Trick, it was awesome. The segment was nails. Both these guys knocked it out. You could argue it was the best segment of the week in terms of what it accomplished, the way it was delivered. It was perfection. Nothing could have been done better here. And not for nothing. Knowing Williams is like 6'5" or 6'4", and obviously just huge from a build standpoint as a football player, a wide receiver at South Carolina, Sami actually looked pretty solid next to him. He did not come across as small at all. I'm not sure I would have expected that.
Well, Sami's a pretty tall dude.
Yeah, like way more than I thought.
Well. But I would also say, is there any concern for you that if this is setting up Sami Trick as like kind of a first feud with Sami back and Sami wins and Trick's losing the first thing, that he falls into like a Carmelo Hayes cycle? Would you prefer Trick Williams coming up and making more of an impact?
Yeah, no, I believe this is going to be a typical WWE booking where Trick wins this and then Sami wins the Royal Rumble. It happened again last year. Jay lost to Gunther on Saturday night's main event, and then Jay won the Royal Rumble the next week.
Well, that's losing to Gunther for the title.
I'm just saying.
That's different than losing to the NXT guy who just came up to the roster.
I know, but this is what they have the person. Just like they have someone win Money in the Bank, lose a bunch of matches, and then they cash in. Like it's what they do. It happened under Vince McMahon. It's happening under Paul Levesque. I don't get it.
I noticed that when I was going through the votes for the meaties, when I was looking at best show, I was like, oh, here's somebody who lost in the show and cashed in Money in the Bank later on.
Right. Yeah, it's unbelievable. So I could see Trick winning the first match and Sami being like rock bottom at that moment and then getting motivated to win. But I do agree with you that it's not an ideal first feud. Like ideally you want Trick to beat someone and have it not matter elsewhere. and you really don't want him losing, and Sammy beating
Right.
Trick initially and humbling him right away, I don't know. They'd have to book it well. I don't trust SmackDown to do it, but again, Friday Night Show was really good. So, they deserve at least 10% trust as opposed to Raw, which usually gets a lot more than that. Trick later interrupted Aldis as he was welcoming Rey Fenix back for a Fire 2026. Phoenix took exception to that, as did Aldis the interruption, setting up a debut match for Williams next week. And that means Rey Fenix is losing to Trick. So, again, could they not have found someone else? Maybe Phoenix loses and he actually gets written off SmackDown, goes over to Raw. I'm going to give this a conditional good. I just like the interaction between them. I'm glad Phoenix got some time.
Agree.
This one floored me. Okay. During a commercial break here in the United States, let me repeat this. Just let me quiet the show and repeat this one more time. During a commercial break, Adam Pearce brought Javon Evans onto the stage during Raw and signed him to a main roster contract. This did not air on television. They did not clip it later during Raw and show us that it happened. It didn't get posted on Twitter until 20 to 25 minutes after it went down. And I truly believe it only got posted because people like us were complaining that this didn't air on television. Trick Williams got a massive face-to-face segment with Sami Zayn on SmackDown, a future Hall of Famer. Javon gets brought out during a commercial that WWE's largest audience here in America doesn't get to see. Who the fuck came up with this idea? How the fuck did it get approved as the proper way to sign this kid? The first hour of Raw pissed me off to no end, but this was that cheap, shitty icing that you get on a $5 cake from Walmart. Simply idiotic decision making here. This dude's call up should have been a moment. Instead, it wasn't even an email. It was a voicemail. This was ugly.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Block at 0.
I found this out on, I think, Instagram. I came across it and I was like, wait, did I miss this? I had no idea this happened. And to that point, do you think Javon Evans is coming up too early, too quickly?
I do. I know there's people screaming that he should have been on the main roster last year and, they should give him the world and all this. I came out of Raw hoping, fingers crossed, that we're going to continue seeing him in NXT. Let him be a rookie who gets opportunities here and there on the main roster, securing his future, but he keeps a primary job in NXT, like some of those basketball players who are primarily in the G League, but they get called up to fill minutes in the NBA when a player's down and they need extra hands or something like that. I cannot imagine Javon leaving NXT without toppling Obafemi and winning the NXT championship. It would be nonsensical. Femi, by the way, got video packages on both SmackDown and Raw 2 weeks in a row, so that's 4 packages. The NXT men's division is going to be barren if all of a sudden Javon, Trick, and Oba all get called up. Even if it's just Trick and Javon, it's going to be barren. The CW still needs talent on the show. It's not like there's free agents out there to bolster it. I have no idea what the hell is going on. Maybe we're going to find out Tuesday night what the futures of Femi and Evans specifically are. But Javon, for me, again, you have people screaming that he needs to be on the main roster. I'm sure Javon as a talent, you have to think about contract negotiations and keeping him happy. I'm sure he wanted to be on the main roster, but he doesn't come across as a guy who's in a rush. He's incredibly young. He's going to be the youngest person on TV by years. I want to say 18 months younger than Roxanne Perez at least, maybe even more than that. He hasn't won a title yet in NXT. You could have him, and this is the other thing, NXT does a really good job before they call people up. They give them experience as a babyface and as a heel. Now, I don't think Javon is ever going to be a heel in his entire career, but they give them experience as babyface, heel, main event, operating outside of the main event, mid-card title, all these things. Javon has done none of that. He's been a babyface the entire time, and he's basically been a loser the entire time. And while I do agree with people who argue that Evans should have won stuff already in NXT, he should have won the tag team titles already with Cedric Alexander shortly after he debuted. He definitely should have won the North American Championship and had a 3 or 4 month reign. But I was okay with none of that happening because I figured he will beat Obafemi at Stand and Deliver and win the NXT Championship in a huge, rousing moment that they've legitimately built to for the better part of a year. If he just gets called up to the main roster here and none of that happens and all that goes away, and now he's in the low to mid card on Raw, I don't understand it. I don't get the decision making.
That's what I don't get. Like a couple years ago or a year and a half ago, so I interviewed Shawn Michaels for the story about Bron Breakker. And I asked him like why they didn't call Bron Breakker up after he had his first title run, as was often the trajectory. And they said, no, we wanted him to then basically have a heel run and try something else and get those reps. So then when he came up to the main roster, he will have reps in every kind of category you want as a wrestler.
As prepared as he could be. Yep.
That's the point of NXT. Like, you want to have people go through these ups and downs. How can this person handle, the opening promo of a show? Can they handle a title? Can they handle this and that? And
exactly.
Like, that's the point. Like, and we said on the show on the year in review about how many old guys are at the top of the card. But there's kind of, that doesn't mean just throw a 20-something-year-old guy in there as well. So, that's not to say he can't learn on the main roster, but the opportunities are so much more limiting, and especially without a normal house show circuit.
And if your goal is to have this guy be a major player for you, right?
Which we all think he will be.
Which we all think he's going to be. Then what is the rush? There's only so many achievements. World Championships, Money in the Bank, Royal Rumble. He's 22 years old.
He's
got 18 years at least wrestling, you would think. I know his style, is different. But let's say 15 years. What is the rest? 15 WrestleManias, 15 Royal Rumbles, 15 Elimination Chambers, 15 Money in the Bank matches. Like, why are we rushing this?
You don't want him to be 24 and feel like he's a one-note thing.
Exactly.
And we've seen it all. And that's all we can do.
Yeah. The worst thing that would happen is that he's 29 years old and you're like, he's done everything already.
Yeah.
So I don't get it. And by the way, man, like Trick, they gave him 2 NXT titles. Neither reign was that successful. And he's waiting around there and you're like, man, why aren't they calling him up yet? Maybe they noticed that he's not complete, which I said on the show many, many times. And then he becomes TNA champion and all the pieces come together and you go, wow, he's ready. And he wrestled better in the ring. He got more experience working with different people. Now, Javon is a way better wrestler than Trick is in the ring. Don't get it twisted. But he figured out his character. He figured out his promos, the cadence, how to carry himself as champion. He finally got it. It all came together. Javon has none of that right now. And I love the kid. I want him to be as successful as anyone has ever been, other than like John Cena, because that's very high standard to expect. I want him to be as successful as Randy Orton, let's say, in WWE, right? Like, I think he has every opportunity to do that. And yet, I believe the right decision is him remaining in NXT until SummerSlam.
It's very, like, NXT champion beat Obafemi, like, it's right there. Yeah. That's a moment for him.
And then go on a run for 4 months and then put someone else over at SummerSlam and get called up to the main roster. Like, it's so right there in front of us. I don't get it.
Yeah.
Anyway, and by the way,
we went long on this, but
we did. I want to say one more thing
because I had missed it.
I want to say one more thing. If they call him up and it's permanent, he doesn't show up in NXT anymore. He's only on Raw. Okay. You have to make him Intercontinental Champion at WrestleMania. Put him over Dominic Mysterio. A match with 2 young guns, a big, bright, shining moment, and let Javon walk out. He wins that title. He is a massive deal. You put him in front of the biggest audience, in front of the biggest stage you can, and you let him shine. If he's called up and he's not on that card, or he's in a tag team match or a 6-man or some other bullshit, it's going to be a total waste. If you're calling him up and you're saying, this is the move we're making because we believe in this kid, then believe in him and put him over in a major way.
Yeah. You don't want people to get in the Carmelo Hayes kind of rut, but Carmelo Hayes had a run as NXT champion and all these things. So he was able to withstand it.
And Carmelo's also 30. So he has like the experience to, jump back and forth from these things and learn.
It's like, you just don't want to be like, if Javon Evans doesn't have a championship, what is he doing? Or is he just doing the bouncy stuff? Like,
right.
Anyway.
By the way, Javon Dominic, ladder match, WrestleMania. That's the booking. I'm just saying. That's what they should do. Ilya Dragunov backstage on SmackDown put over Carmelo Hayes, speaking of, for being the best version of himself in victory, saying there's worse things in life than losing a match like that, but it won't be the last time they fight. Melo said he'd run it back whenever Ilya wants. and he would continue the open challenge once he retains the title. Hayes then ran into The Miz, thanking him for being instrumental in his success. When Miz got excited about finally being praised and getting respect from a young guy, Melo turned it on him, saying the success came once Miz left him alone. Good stuff here, both in terms of Dragunov being the bigger man, Hayes looking strong, and Miz rekindling that feud so Melo can hopefully put him down and actually end that storyline properly. That's all we've been asking. I'm not sure I love that the open challenge is continuing with such a young champion. The guy badly needs time to develop an on-screen personality. He needs to work in feuds and tell stories and cut promos. So again, open challenge, not what I would have done, but this segment and the direction of these things, good overall.
I don't want Dragunov to get lost in the shuffle either. I don't want the whole purpose of him to be to put Carmelo over. But maybe there's a heel turn coming or something. Like there's still so much untapped. I mean, Dragunov hasn't been on the roster that long. Like he came up, he got hurt, he came back, does this title run. Like there's still so many things you can do with him too.
United States Championship, Melo defending against Johnny Gargano. Gargano came out to his throwback heel entrance theme from the way, a definite improvement. He even did the old pose to a degree. It's like his fourth main roster theme, but it's probably the best. Hayes got a slightly updated entrance with a ramp graphic of him written bottom to top like it's paint on a road that you're driving over. It made it really tough to read. Just flip it the direction, write it vertically normally, and we'll be good. Gargano used Candice LeRae as a buffer so he could run around and hit a slingshot DDT and slingshot splash in succession. Much later, Melo hit the fadeaway springboard leg drop, a full tope cannonball, and a frog splash. Gargano incredibly double countered Hayes off the ropes into an avalanche swinging neck breaker. Melo added his blind springboard DDT, but got lawn darted into the middle turnbuckle during commercial. Gargano then caught him with an anti-air super kick, only to take a lifting cutter. Melo got hung up with the cutter on the top rope, but kind of missed a ring apron DDT coming back. That busted open Johnny's nose. Gargano landed a tornado DDT for a false finish after he got caught on a slingshot spear. Candice again distracted, allowing Gargano to hit an avalanche air raid crash like Tommaso Ciampa for a 2.9. After a kick out, Melo landed first 48. Incredible sell by Johnny on that, followed by nothing but net to retain the title. This was a tremendous first defense for Hayes. Completely showed out in the ring, established himself firmly as the new champion. Gargano was obviously the perfect opponent for someone looking to do that. They got way more time than I expected, even on a 3-hour show. Both of them benefited from it. It's what I always say. Let great wrestlers work, and the crowd will buy into them, even if they did not coming into the match. There is momentum with Gargano now after the last few weeks. Hopefully, WWE capitalizes on it one way or another. Melo's arrow continues to point way, way up. 4.25 stars. Hey, this was good.
Yep. Really good match. Good for Melo to have a win over somebody like that. And ultimately, good stuff. And they got the time because, like, again, a 3-hour show, you let them have a bit more time. The crowd gets more into the match. They get more into the result.
100%. For Axiom backstage clowned Gargano, who was tending to his bloody nose while holding Axiom's mask. The rightful owner asked him to return it, so Johnny gave it to Candice, daring him to take it from her. They all argued, with Axiom deciding enough was enough. He would just fight him and take the mask. Hopefully that happens next week in Berlin. Axiom's from Spain, so he gets to fight in Europe. Would be nice to have him wrestle a quality match there, and presumably that will happen. Last time they were there, he fought Gunther, which was really a great bout between them, but it does make sense for him to get his mask back in this spot. The Usos entered and encored for a promo in the crowd amongst fans on Raw. They put over phenomenally, but said they're the best tag team in the game, so the Usos get the tag team titles back on their first try. They don't have to summit a mountain or anything. And the follow-up is not starting to build the division or getting a hot feud started. It's a crowd promo for a minute with the Usos saying what they always say. This was an absolute waste. It was insane that this got on the show instead of Javon's contract signing. This was exactly what you do during a commercial break. You entertain the crowd, you don't accomplish anything, and you go back to the regularly scheduled programming. This should have been during the commercial. This was bad.
I was baffled by this. They're still using the Jey Uso song.
Stupid. For
the entrance, and not many people yeeting on this one. I don't know if they just don't want to yeet.
The crowd was terrible
as a team, or if it's just the crowd or what. The only positive was Jey Uso had a pretty sweet hat.
He did.
It said it was Us, like UCE, in like the San Francisco Giants font, like the baseball cap. It was just 3 letters instead of 2.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that's a pretty cool hat. Jimmy's got a pretty great hat game in his history, and
he does.
It's a good hat.
Indeed. Well, did you grade this? I forgot.
Bad.
Yeah. Damian Priest against Aleister Black in an ambulance match. Cole called Black the necessary evil during the opening of SmackDown. I thought that was a great moniker for him to use. Priest backstage said he was sick of warring with this guy for 6 months. Not as sick as we are, Damian, I promise you. So he said this match would end it all because Black does not control him. Black later got a tape promo saying winning or losing a match doesn't matter here because the victory will be spiritual, guaranteeing Priest will never be the same again after this. That told us Black was going to lose. If you're going into a match saying winning or losing this does not matter, we already won, then you're not going to win. Okay? I mean, you're not going to win. This main evented the show. Priest put Black onto a stretcher with snake eyes. Black then put Priest through a table with a meteor during a commercial. Damian actually caught Aleister with a hurricanrana off the ropes, only to get nailed with Black Mass moments later into the second break. Black loaded Priest onto a stretcher, hit a meteor on it, selling a knee for the second time. Priest recovered like The Undertaker trying to choke Black, but the heel grabbed the stretcher board, put it to Priest's throat, and drove him into the Titantron. When Zelina opened the ambulance doors to help her husband, Rhea Ripley appeared, chased her to the ring, eliminated her with a riptide. The gimmick here was Black struggling to physically get Priest into the ambulance, despite him dominating the match to that point. Priest got thrown inside but blocked the closure, emerging with a crutch as a weapon. Black responded with a pump knee, but Priest again booted him out of the doorway and used a fire extinguisher. Priest then used the same fireball on Black and closed the ambulance doors for further punishment. He grabbed some huge table with random equipment on it from gorilla position. Black avoided Razor's Edge. Both guys used the ambulance itself as a weapon. Black was set to try something off a barricade into a road case, but Priest instead caught him in a Razor's Edge. Looked at the case, he's like, I'm going to put him into that. Kicks it out of the way and turns toward the ambulance, does a Razor's Edge into the windshield. Hell of a spot. Then he carried and dragged Black to the top of the ambulance, choke pushing him off the roof through the double tables below. However, when he went to open the doors, they were somehow locked. So he went around and opened the side door. Then he was able to open the regular doors because I guess they unlocked it for him when cameras were off. So he put him in, closed one door, closed the side door, went back, closed the front door again to win the first 3-door closure ambulance match in history. Okay, that was a lot. 30-minute main event. I'll start with the negatives. They gave the result away in the promo beforehand, obviously. Black and Zelina were right saying in a promo last week that Priest basically needed Ripley in order to beat them. She was here. And if you were going to use the fireball, doing it on top of the ambulance before the fall in a repeat of the last man standing match would have been way more effective than doing it from the door of the ambulance. Priest winning is also frustrating from the standpoint that WWE refused to end the feud months ago with the heel winning. I'm not sure what this does for Priest exactly, whereas that win for Black, had WWE capitalized on it, could have catapulted him into the lower tier main event. Those are the negatives. There are positives. Parts of this match were awesome. It went 24 minutes plus, basically a full segment too long. Because of that, the finish was dragged out, but there was some inventiveness into how it transpired. The crowd largely loved what they were getting. Some of the bumps on the stage were great. The Rhea Zelina part kicked up the energy in the final stanza. The Razor's Edge into the windshield was the highlight. The spot off the roof was solid enough. South of Heaven would have been far better, but it did feel a bit vanilla into that. Even if it's not the result I wanted, the feud is over. The sign-off was well done. We can move on. Credit to Black for taking some big-time bumps. This gets a good 3.75 stars, B+. I swear to you, if they interact this week on SmackDown, anything other than like a stare down and like parting directions, I will lose my effing mind.
Good match, solid match, physical, intense, worthy of the main event, worthy of the time they gave it, worthy of the ambulance stipulation. Like it felt like, all right, this was a real full-on ambulance match. At the beginning, I was thinking like, why doesn't Zelina just interfere the whole time? You know, it's kind of the classic, if there's no DQ, why is there not always help? In my mind, I told me, well, the ref could still throw her out, essentially. And so she wouldn't want to do that. So then Rhea showing up in the ambulance, I liked it. It was simply just to even the numbers when Zelina got involved. So I was cool with that. The fireball callback worked. I don't know if he wanted to choke slam him off the table or just wanted to shove him, but that was a bit quick. But overall, like, good stuff. Like they ended it well. I agree. I don't think the right person won, but we're done with it. Mercifully.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
The problem is because Priest never loses feuds, he's never vulnerable, and we never have a reason to root for him harder than we otherwise would. WWE protects this guy like he's their next great main eventer, but he's 43 years old and he has a ceiling. It was a huge mistake not to let Black win this feud months ago with a natural ending point at Last Man Standing and then progress up the card. They could have let Priest go over Solo Sikoa or any number of other heels on the roster in this spot. This could have been a feud with Tama Tonga. It did not need to be Aleister Black on the back end. WWE keeps getting this wrong, and fans are not going to buy into Damian Priest if he just always wins and is never allowed to lose these feuds. It's really, really frustrating. Aldis backstage was shown recruiting Jordynne Grace when Chelsea Green and Alba Fire interrupted, complaining about the cold and refusing to shake Jordan's hand. Green said that she was mentally unwell from the ending of Stranger Things, and she was fighting for her life on the internet. I don't know why. That made me laugh. Yeah. Aldis suggested that he strip her of the title and impeach her if she does not want to be a fighting champion. Jade Cargill backstage later took credit for purposefully injuring Michin on a WWE house show. Jordan approached her, trying to get her to look at her options, with Jade calling herself that bitch and Grace replying, well, yeah, you're definitely one of those.
Thank you.
The crowd didn't pop for that line from Jordan, but I did, considering I hate Jade using that phrase so damn much. Michin did indeed get injured on a house show, as we talked about, and that pushed off their scheduled match from SmackDown. Normally, I'd be negative about them not being heavily featured, even on a 3-hour show, but given the circumstances and the interesting interaction, I'm actually going to say like good.
Yeah, it was fine. I liked it. With all of these NXT things and people, I understand the idea of you want to make them seem important. That's why your GMs want to sign them. But it feels as lackluster a debut as you can possibly have. You know?
Like standing backstage talking?
Yeah. There's not a, whoa, Jordynne Grace is here. She's been in some Rumbles. The people know her enough. It feels like we're just kind of, nobody cares what show they signed to, whether it's Raw or SmackDown. Nobody has ever cared whether you're on one show or another. So I just don't see the upside to doing it this way, as opposed to just having someone make a surprise debut and make an impact.
No, it's completely right. The exciting part is them showing up on the main roster. No one gives a shit whether they're on Raw or SmackDown. At least the crowd doesn't. Now, we may have preferences because we believe the women get booked better on Raw or, whatever the case. We think that there's a dearth of talent on a certain division. Sure. But the live crowd just needs to be surprised and happy and excited. And you could have had Jordan run in and save a baby face. She could have, forget standing up to Jade, she could have gone after her, shoved her out of the way, and Jade looked and holy shit, she's strong. I didn't expect that. Do something to have an impact, a lasting memory for even 15 minutes. Instead, when she was off screen, you're like, oh, okay, Jordynne Grace was on TV.
We remember Kevin Owens' debut.
Exactly.
And I feel like I'm just kind of harping on everybody has to have a big moment, but you kind of want to give everybody a big moment. That's kind of the point of this whole thing.
In theory, we had the United States Championship, Chelsea Green defending against Julia. Green launched herself with a tope suicida as Julia was arguing with Alba Fire ringside. Fans chanted for Chelsea, which confused Cole during the break. Graves said it was because they were near Canada. In reality, fans just have no reason to cheer Julia, and she's also not a babyface, so why wouldn't they cheer Chelsea? The challenger countered Unpretty Her with a headbutt, but Green landed Rough Rider coming back. The referee didn't count as Kiana James distracted him on the apron. Julia hit a high-angle suplex and a double underhook superplex, rolling through with a Northern Lights bomb to win back the United States Championship. This match went about 8 total minutes, 5 outside of the commercial break. More time would have been nice. I'm not sure it would have accomplished anything. The crowd remained indifferent to Julia to absolutely no fault of her own. Hopefully, this is the start of her getting platformed in a serious way again. She badly needs to ditch Kiana because that shit is not working at all. A solid match with the right booking. It gets a good, but we need to see way, way more effort here. It was such a dumb decision to flip the title a few weeks ago for no legitimate reason, just to flip it back here.
That's why I think I'm giving it a bad. She doesn't need the belt. She's not ready to have the belt. And Chelsea is very entertaining as champion, as we saw. What was the point of flipping it to flip it back if nothing's different, right? Spend that time turning Julia into something. So then when she comes back, she wins it. This is a bad. We're going in circles here with Julia.
If she had gotten rid of Kiana during the interim, you failed me. What good are you? Hits her, beats her in a match. Now she's stronger and people are cheering for her in theory because she's a babyface. Then she gets a rematch and wins the title. And she does it with adversity because Alba Fire's ringside. Now you have momentum behind Julia. There's a reason why she was successful when she wasn't previously. But to your point, instead, she's exactly where she was before with the same manager, the same know-nothing gimmick. And it's like, why do we care about her?
No, and Chelsea does a good job too. And so that's just taking something away from her.
Kit Wilson came out for a match against an unnamed opponent, and
How is this so low in the show? I can't believe we didn't start with this higher.
Because we got to keep people attracted to the program, dog. We got to have some good stuff at the bottom.
That's true. I'm excited to talk about
I'm trying to build it. I'm trying to build a show based on importance and listenership. And, Silver King has methods to his madness. Give me a break. Again, he came out for a match against an unnamed opponent, and he not only had a new Titantron, but a new entrance theme. Technically, he's had the theme for months. It was the first time we actually got to hear it on WWE TV, and the first time we really got to see his Titantron. I sat on my couch flabbergasted that the Tron was better than 75% of those on the main roster, while the theme, which was meant to be funny and flamboyant, was kind of a head nodder. Now, maybe that speaks to improvements coming in 2026. It could just be happenstance that half of a tag team reinventing himself while his partner is still injured has actually been packaged better than some other singles competitors. Now, I did honestly get some chills that both might have been AI. It's really tough to tell these days. If not, great. If someone made these, awesome. If it is AI, hold on. If it is AI, it's an indictment on what WWE has been doing with its Titantrons and entrance music, that something could be AI, and it would be better than most of what they put out there. If you look at the lyrics of the song, and you try to make sense of them, it really does seem like it's artificial. But regardless of that, this guy came out and you saw the graphics and you heard the theme and you're like, okay, there's something going on here. And then during the ensuing match, the fans chanted, "This is toxic," or "You are toxic." It was "You are toxic." And I said to myself, holy shit, they got Kit Wilson over in 10 minutes.
So the song was a banger. I haven't looked at captions. The other song you're talking about, are you talking about Austin Theory's one, or what was the other one you were referencing?
What do you mean? I was just saying that the Kit Wilson theme was better than most themes in WWE.
No, I thought you.
So the Titantron was better too. Yeah.
This is now 2 new themes in a week. Austin Theory, the other one.
Fair, yes. Both
was
good.
Also good.
Yeah.
And that one, the captions on Netflix or whatever said it was Def Rebel. I didn't look at the captions to see if they credited anyone with the song. Maybe I should go back and check.
Yeah, I should have. But I didn't think about that.
But I was like, whoa, this is like a catchy theme. People are immediately chanting it. It's popping up in my TikTok algorithm from WWE stuff.
It's one of our most liked tweets of all time.
Really?
Yeah. Not even shitting on you. It's probably 10th, I'd say, something like that. Yeah.
This is why we harp so much on entrance themes and entrances. They matter so much. Joe Hendry is only here because of that. Like that, it's so important. And every time you hear a generic nothing or they keep changing it, you're like, you guys have to get this right because it is so important. And I don't think Kit Wilson's probably not going anywhere, but like this suddenly felt like something like worth paying attention to.
Right.
And that's awesome. I feel like the toxic gimmick thing doesn't really make sense. He should be the toxic one.
No, he's saying toxic masculinity is a problem. He said the Bills fans are paradigms of that.
Right.
That was the point. So after that brief Kit Wilson promo.
Toxic!
Woo!
Toxic!
Woo! Woo!
Oh, no. Oh, yeah!
Always ready.
So wait a minute, and his opponent from Long Island, New York, weighing in at 230 pounds, Matt Cardona!
So now, besides the always ready start there, another really solid theme, by the way, and a pretty cool transition that they allowed you to, find out who it was, so the people knew, oh, Zack Ryder, it's familiar to me. Oh, wait, they changed the music, and why are they saying always ready? Oh, he's being announced as Matt Cardona. Chris, absolutely hysterical that this came out 48 hours too late to ring your 2025 prediction true. We had just discussed it, you and I, 8 hours earlier on Friday when we were taping the 2025 year in review. And here we are, that same night, Matt Cardona signing and debuting in WWE.
Yeah, we got to count it.
We do not have to count it. We absolutely do not.
But he may have signed the contract before the year ended, though. That's possible. We have to figure that out. But this was hilarious. One, that this happened. We got a lot of people tweeting at us about it, so thank you. And two, pretty cool. Like, in general, Matt Cardona working his way back to a full-time WWE job is awesome. A guy who was let go during COVID, and instead of just living on the Zack Ryder name or being a guy who was just trying to be bitter about the whole thing, like, he did reinvent himself. And the various gimmicks on the indies, Deathmatch King, like I saw more Matt Cardona stuff over the last couple of years than I had in the previous 10. And I saw him at WrestleCon at the convention. He's wrestling out in the halls, just going by me doing stuff. And this guy worked his ass off to get back to a spot here. And he has. That's really cool. He's with his wife. Chelsea Green is there too. John Cena sent him a shout out on social media. Awesome to see him back here.
Really cool moment. Just knowing what it meant to him to do all that. Let me get to the match real quick. So Cardona Wilson, people chanted, "You are toxic" at Wilson. As I said, Cardona hit a double underhook powerbomb, got caught in the tourniquet by Wilson, which looked fantastic as a finisher, but it only got a near fall. They shouldn't be using that unless it's going to end a match. Rough Rider did end the match. His first WWE win in more than 6 years. From Wilson's presentation, a Cardona surprise debut, I guess you can call it. This was the match was nothing special. The larger conversation, though, is about re-signing Cardona and whether this makes any sense for WWE. I'm not sure why another 40-year-old was needed for the main roster. I'll reserve judgment for a bit until we see what kind of character he gets and how he's booked. But at first blush, like Rusev last year, I don't see the necessity. That said, I know he badly wanted to come back as himself, like you mentioned. So good for him not only getting the nostalgia match as Ryder during the tournament, but now being Cardona in WWE. And good for Chelsea having her husband on the show too. So I'm happy for them as individuals with all the people that they can and will be calling up from NXT and all the people they have that are injured coming back and all the people over 40 they already have on the roster. I don't necessarily understand the signing though, just being honest.
Well, it is weird coupled with the NXT stuff, like we said. Like, I'm not even sure Obafemi needs to come up yet either. But Javon Evans coming up too, Trick Williams coming up too, and you're signing Cardona. You know, I assume Cardona is going to remain low card, mid card stuff, and that's fine. No one's clamoring for him to take a world title run. Rusev coming back provides a good, believable heel for people to overcome. And then it turned out he was dropping bars, in his vignettes. Mm-hmm. When Aleister Black and Rusev came back, everybody thought Aleister Black was much bigger to come back.
Yeah.
And now the last couple of months, Rusev's been out, but to the up until recently, we would have said Rusev was
they flip-flopped. It started out Black was the better return. Mm-hmm. Then there was a period of time where it was Rusev. I would say it's actually in part because Rusev hasn't been on TV. It's flipped back to Black a little bit. But,
just because he had something to do.
Yeah, but Rusev proved me wrong for sure. When Rusev came back initially, I was like, this makes no sense. They don't need him. They have big dudes. What does he add that WWE doesn't have? And to be fair to myself, if he wasn't there, they'd be fine. If both of them, Black wasn't there too, they would be fine. But Cardona, for me, is a level below both of them. And that's why it's surprising to me that he's back.
There's usually a round of cuts, after WrestleMania?
Well, just now all the contracts are really scattered, so it depends. But around that time, usually February, March,
Yeah, so maybe some things happen, but it feels a bit freshened up. Maybe because SmackDown's going to 3 hours, they just need more people. Maybe.
But it's only for a few months. It's only until football season. So I don't know. We'll find out. But look, I'm happy for him. I'm happy for Chelsea. It was cool. It was a great moment, and it was very funny that you were 48 hours late, and it doesn't count in terms of your predictions. So Matt Cardona, WWE in 2025. No. But Matt Cardona, WWE in 2026. Yeah. And really, you should have made that prediction. That's your fault for not doing it Bo Dallas led a Wyatt 6 video package reminding Solo Sikoa that he doesn't know about family since he was exiled from his true bloodline. Dallas was angry about their family being mocked, saying it was comprised not only of 5 individuals, but millions of fireflies around the world who will always remember. He wanted to chop down the family tree at its root, as they will be the ones. Interestingly, Nikki Cross was the only one still masked up here. Best segment involving Wyatt 6 in a long time, perhaps a top 2 or 3 promo from Bo specifically since returning. They were backstage, not in the ring. It was everything the other one that I panned wasn't. This was good.
Are they set to fight? Like the big faction versus faction? Like, when are we getting to that?
Yes, we are doing that conversation next. So just grade the segment, and then I will tell you.
I saw it, so I was like, okay, like, I like this. It was good, but then I was like, wait, why are we still doing this? So keep going.
Tama Tonga backstage nodded after the conclusion of the United States title match, only for Shinsuke Nakamura to approach him, with both men speaking in Japanese, given their history in New Japan. Tama told...
I like that. I thought that was cool.
Fucking love that. Tama told Solo Sikoa this was an old chapter for him that is in the past. Sikoa informed they would go 4-on-4 next week, with the tag team title match to come afterward. But as Tonga went to leave with him, he looked back in the direction of Nakamura. We've previously seen Tama have his sights set on the US title, so it seems like a split from MFT might be possible. Maybe this was Nakamura, because I don't know what he said in Japanese. Maybe it was him saying, like, do you know what you're doing here? Like, why are you... Maybe all those guys join together and Nakamura steals them from Sikoa and creates his own faction. I don't know. There's a lot of interesting things that could happen here. It also could be absolutely nothing. I'm going to say a good segment that was more intriguing than I would have expected. I didn't see Tama and Shin on screen together. You know, maybe Nakamura does this one by one with the whole group. Again, just questions for me. But we're getting the 4-on-4 match with Wyatt 6. It'll be the second time they fight. The first title match, you'll remember, was JC Mateo and I want to say Tonga Loa, like the 2 guys who should not be challenging for tag team titles, and the 6 retained. So they're going to do a 4-on-4, presumably another title match. And then we'll see what happens after that. They got to fix this division, but these 2 segments, I will say, both of them were good.
So wait, when is the match? The 4-on-4?
4-on-4 is next week.
Okay, good. The problem is they have the tag team titles, and you're not changing tag team titles at a 4-on-4 match.
No, that's going to be the next match. The presumption is MFT wins, then they get another title match.
That's the problem. Yeah. This should end with 4-on-4.
It doesn't need to involve the tag team titles, but they're basing it around the fact that Sikoa wants them back for MFT, and the 6, feel like that's part of their family now. That's the whole thing. It's stupid. It's not good.
No, like, this is why you never should have had the tag title, because then you have to, like, figure this stuff out. It should be building toward 4-on-4. That's what people want to see.
That's all that was needed here. The titles never needed to be involved. Correct.
The tag team titles make a mess of all of this. So, like, it would have been, you could have had the Wyatts lose the tag team belts to somebody because the MFTs interfered. Mm-hmm. And that adds to the drama of the big 4-on-4. Like, get them off of them. Let tag teams go do something and do your faction warfare, which we've mostly thought was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you can have them lose the belts as part of the story instead of whatever this is. So at least we're getting the 4-on-4, but, like, all right. Anyway,
grades for these segments. You got to do it.
Good.
Fair enough. And lastly, Ivy Nile backstage told Pierce she refused to go to the back of the line. Now, even though she lost her completely undeserved Intercontinental title opportunity to Maxine Dupree, Ivy Nile is refusing to go to the back of the line. Ivy, get your ass to the back of the line. You don't deserve to be anywhere else right now. You should be on TV. You should be wrestling and contending. That's great. You should not be anywhere near another title opportunity. Let's just make that clear. No grade. I just wanted to say that at the end of the show here. Overall, Chris, I just felt SmackDown was a way more successful show than Raw. That's not to say Raw was actively bad. It just was a downgrade from what we normally get from Monday nights and what we expect from a special show with the top brand in the company, considering generally when WWE tries to do that, it delivers. But like I said at the beginning, this is now 2 Raw on Netflix debuts, the debut ever, and this one, the debut for 2026, both of them falling far below expectation, despite them having major matches scheduled for the shows.
Yeah, they're sort of, last one was like a big event, almost like a pay-per-view. And there were parts of it we didn't like, parts of it we did like. this Raw, it gave you like title matches, but the show never felt all that big. I think because the Stranger Things hovering over it made it seem like a gimmick show instead of a big show, but is what it is.
It is indeed. Now, like we said earlier in the program, coming to you this week is not only our NXT and AEW episode, where we will also cover the retirement of Hiroshi Tanahashi and NJPW Wrestle Kingdom 20. All of that is coming up on a show this week, but we will also have, coming for your ear holes, the 2025 Getting Over Awards, aka
the Meaties.
Voting is closed. We are tallying the ballots. We are getting the sound drops together. The Silver King will be hosting. Vintage Chris Vanini will, of course, be along for the ride. The 2025 Getting Over Awards, aka
the Meaties.
This week on the Getting Over Wrestling podcast. On the way out, we're going to hit you with some quick reminders. First, follow us on social media at Getting Overcast. You know the drill. Also, don't forget,
It's all about the five.
head over to Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Leave us 5-star ratings on Apple. If you leave a 5-star written review, we'll read it right here on the show. Please remember,
I happen to love the number 5.
hope you do as well. $5 a month, $50 for the entire year. You can become an official Getting Overhead. Not only do you get extra content, the fastest 5 minutes in professional wrestling, instant reactions to every major show, exclusive news analysis posts every week, you're directly supporting the continuation of this podcast. We're an ad-free show. We only have one sponsor read. Please support us. Get some extra content. buymeacoffee.com/getting over. A massive WWE show for you is out of the way. The meetings are coming up. NXT, AEW, and New Japan, all before the week is out. For Vintage Chris Vanini, this is the Silver King, Adam Silverstein, signing off and leaving you with just 3 final words. Bye for now.